What is going on, guys? Welcome to this week's episode 27 of the Nerd Crew podcast. I am your man, Andy York, and yes, things are looking a little bit different this week. We are changing things up. We are trying new things out, so bear with us. If it looks different, if it looks great, let us know. We've got our beautiful posters behind us. We've got our Funko Pops here. Jason's head's blocking the other Funko Pop, but that is all right.
We've got our beautiful faces.
We've got our beautiful faces. Yes, you can actually see our faces much better this time. So we are very excited about this change. So this will be the new regular for us. So we're looking forward to that. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Whether you are listening to this on iTunes, Google Play, or SoundCloud, or if you are joining us live on Tuesdays on YouTube, where we talk about everything. Including Captain Marvel, which we'll talk about today, but movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, the MCU, DC, Star Wars. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's a lot that we can talk about. And as always, I am joined by my right-hand man, and I think you'll appreciate this.
I'm on your left side.
Well, yes, but I think you'll appreciate this. The eye patch to my Nick Fury.
Brilliant.
Jason Lee. Jason, how are you doing today?
Pretty decent.
Pretty decent?
I got an orange vanilla Coke. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. If you haven't tried it yet, you should.
Yes. See, I'm more of a regular Coke man. I like classic stuff, you know. As long as they continue to put cocaine in the Coke, I'm good.
Well, those of us who will branch out and try
I'll branch out. It's just...
We'll try the orange vanilla.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, that type of thing. So
I guess so.
Yeah. But how are you doing this week with Captain Marvel? I know you've seen it once. It's been very busy. It's been a very hyped up week. It's been a very exciting week for sure. But yeah, we are definitely talking about Captain Marvel for the most part today. There are a few other things that we're going to dive into for sure. A little bit. We'll talk about them at the beginning, but then the entire time will be Captain Marvel. Don't worry. If you have seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, we will let you know when we're going to talk about spoilers. There will be a thing on our screen that says spoilers when we're talking about the section of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, one, we definitely encourage you to go watch this movie. Don't be one of those losers that complain about the movie and never seen it, because then you lose all credibility. So if you have not seen the movie, we'll let you know when we're getting ready to get into spoilers. Other than that, everything else should be fine. You should be good to go for the entire episode. But before we jump into anything, and I forgot to mention this, and I forgot to remind you of this, so I'm going to hit it with you on the spot. Are you ready?
Ready.
What are you into this week?
Well, how about you take it away? How about you take it
Oh,
first?
you're going to throw it at me. Well, obviously, I think we're both into Captain Marvel this week.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm on spring break for the next week and a half, so I am very excited about that. And I get to start. I'm starting it tonight, actually. I'm starting Lord of the Rings tonight.
Yes.
So
Long awaited.
Long awaited. I'll let you know how that goes.
Don't text me spoilers.
Don't text me spoilers, even though it's been how many years now?
Many.
Many years. So
Too many.
Too many. So. Yeah, I'm starting that tonight. And also kind of breaking news, but not really. I have talked to Gump. And I have... Wow. Yeah, I know. It's actually, I was on... And speaking of Gump, he's in the chat now. But I talked to him on his podcast about Captain Marvel. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But before we recorded, I told you, and I told him, and I told everybody else, if we hit 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year...
Oh.
Then I will watch every single Harry Potter movie.
That's a goal.
So if we hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, I will watch the Harry Potter movies. And just by doing that, we went from 17 subscribers to 18, so we're there. We're close.
Wow.
Yeah, we're really close. So
that's the will of God.
Or Gump, one of the two. They're not close. I can promise you that. They're not close. But yeah, we are getting closer. If we get to 100 subscribers by December 31st, 11:59 p.m., then I will watch all the Harry Potter movies, and we'll talk about it when that happens. So that will be our 100 subscriber special if we do it.
That's a plan.
Gump, yes you do. You have work to do, so get on it. Get on it for sure. So that's what I'm into this week. What are you into this week?
Oh yeah. I almost lost it for a second. And that was really scary. I finally saw The Terminator for the first time. Classic movie. Everybody loves it.
I don't like it that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's okay.
That's a conversation we'll have
It's
to
okay.
have on a different episode, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I really liked it. I thought it was awesome. It's really dated, but it's dated in an enjoyable way.
Yeah.
I like just the premise. It's just a very simple premise. Just a killer robot has come to kill this girl.
It's a much better robot than Ultron was.
Yeah. Yeah.
much
more
much
intimidating.
better. Much better. So
Didn't have a zillion robots swarming across
Yeah.
this entire city that were made out of like paper.
yeah, it didn't. Yeah, so it's been okay. I'll say it's been a while since I have seen it. Gump is now on your case because you've never seen the Terminator until.
But I have now, so
he
it's
has
okay.
now. But there's more than just Terminator. There's a couple more movies than that.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not the only one that has seen a classic movie. Have you seen The Godfathers?
No. Oh my god. See, I have a whole lot to catch up on because I was, and this is fine, and I don't begrudge like my parents any of this, but I was raised really sheltered, and so now that I'm kind of doing my own thing,
Yep.
I'm catching up on stuff that I missed from a very long time ago. Everybody's already seen. Everybody already knows it's good. But now I just get to experience it for the first time.
That's part of the reason why I haven't seen Harry Potter is because I was in the same boat. Because we weren't even allowed to watch Scooby Doo. Like my dad would never actually sit down enough to watch Scooby Doo to realize that it's like actual people behind it, not actual monsters and things like that. So we weren't allowed to watch Scooby Doo. I wasn't even allowed to watch Cat Dog. I still watched it, but I wasn't supposed to watch it.
I remember when I was 11, I decided I was going to be a rebel and watch The Simpsons on Wednesday night, and I did, and I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
Oh, The Simpsons is amazing.
My wife's parents, and I love them for this, they didn't allow her to watch Magic School Bus or Dragon Tales, either of the two.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good... Dragon Tales is a great show. We actually... Okay, so and we're off on a tangent, but hey, this is what this podcast is all about. This past weekend, we actually... we were bored. Me and my brother-in-law and my sister, we were bored, so we turned on... Like, we went to YouTube, and we did one of those stupid guessing games, like on YouTube, where like it plays theme songs from like the 90s, and... So we did like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney, and like it brought back so many memories of like TV shows that I didn't remember.
Oh yeah.
So like there was one that was like on Disney. I don't know if you ever watched it, but The American Dragon. That was a good show. Obviously like Rocko's Modern Life, Cat Dog, Johnny Bravo, Danny Phantom, like all like Ben 10, which I haven't heard Ben 10 in a long time. So like they were going back through all those and just watching them, I was like, seeing them again, I was like, holy crap, man! I've tried to go back and watch because like I have nephews that are like 6 and 7, and like the cartoons they watch versus the cartoons I watched when I was a kid, I feel like they're getting robbed because their cartoons suck, except for like Phineas and Ferb. Like I always love Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb has a special place in my heart, but other than that, every other show on like Disney and Nickelodeon and stuff sucks now.
Yeah, no, I sort of agree with that. I would also say that the things that we remember are like the cream of the crop from what was out back in the day.
There's a lot of bad stuff.
And there was a lot of terrible stuff. And I think that when we're going to look back on today, we're going to remember the stuff that's the cream of the crop.
Oh, yeah.
Too, or at least the people who are growing up now.
Yeah.
I remember that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, did you ever watch Codename Kids Next Door?
Yeah.
That was a great show. And then, like, the original Teen Titans was always great. Anyways, we're getting off on a tangent. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. So yeah, Terminator, you've seen it finally. It's
and I loved it.
It's good. It's good. That's just what I'm gonna leave it at. It's good. I have to go back and watch it. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
You have an odd thing with old movies.
I do. I really do. Like The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride is like in my top 5, like top 10.
That's good.
Like I love The Princess Bride.
That's good.
But other than that, like, everything else is kind of
Yeah.
So it just depends. It just depends. So after we get done with this tangent, we're getting ready to talk about Captain Marvel here in a few. So if you haven't seen it, we'll let you know when we're getting ready to jump into spoilers because I don't want to be the one to ruin this movie for you. You need to go watch it yourself. But before we jump into anything, you actually sent me this link like 2 hours before we started recording. and it's about the Disney Plus app. The Disney Plus app is bringing, or there are talks of doing the What If. They're bringing What If to the Disney Plus streaming app, doing it as a TV show. Which, if you don't know what If is, Jason, would you please explain what If is?
Yeah, and let me go ahead and pull up the Wikipedia link so that I get a very succinct and descriptive synopsis of what a Marvel What If comic is.
Well, I know one is like, what if someone else was bitten by the radioactive spider?
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah,
it's a lot of things like that. So, What If, sometimes rendered as What If, spelled differently, is a series of comic books published by Marvel Comics whose stories explore how the Marvel Universe might have unfolded if key moments in its history had not occurred as they did in mainstream continuity. So basically what he said. So like if somebody else was bitten by the radioactive spider, what kind of repercussions would that have had? Kind of like butterfly effect ideas. But there's another one here on the front page, like what if Spider-Man had joined the Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Which would make it the Fantastic Five.
True. I saw one that was like, what if Loki found Thor's hammer? Or like, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool ideas here. And this is super, super exciting to me because I always love, even in the MCU, but I always love thinking kind of, what if this thing had played out differently? And in the MCU, you have basically a really rigid timeline.
Yeah.
And a lot of things line up differently. And it's not going to be MCU based, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool if it was.
I think it's just going to be kind of an animated series based off of just kind of what if issues.
Yeah.
Let me see if it actually is MCU based. Just one second. Yes. No, it actually is. Which is super exciting to me.
It's MCU based?
Yeah, it's
that'll be amazing.
Animated. It's going to be an animated series directly overseen by Kevin Feige.
That's amazing.
But it will be a what if for the MCU, which that's incredible. Because I've always loved the Marvel What If comics. They always give an interesting take on things.
So like, what are some ideas that you have of like in the MCU, like in the context of the MCU, what could they do? I know one that I saw that was actually a what if comic, but if they actually did, they could do it in the MCU, and that was what if Doctor Strange was a disciple of Dormammu?
Yeah,
like that would be cool, something like that. But like, what other like in the MCU context could you see them doing?
What if SHIELD or the World Security Council had nuked Manhattan?
Oh wow!
What repercussions would that have?
Yeah.
That's interesting because it would have killed all the Avengers.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the Hulk, but even he's kind of nerfed in the MCU.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can take a direct hit from a nuke. So that would be interesting. A lot of them are kind of like, what if X person had died? What if Tony Stark had died in the cave?
Yeah.
Instead of making it out. A lot of those are kind of interesting, and I love the idea of like butterfly effect repercussions. And they can't really go like 100% with that, I don't think.
Right.
Down to like super minute details, but just kind of big picture stuff. What kind of things would be different?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm very excited for the Disney Plus app now. Because like there's a lot of potential with what to do, especially like if they actually are doing the what if. I think that would be absolutely amazing to see, amazing to do. I think it would be a lot of fun to see like the different, especially if Kevin Feige is the one like heading it up and actually doing it. That would be a lot of fun to see what they're going to do with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here's an idea in the chat. What if Peter was never picked up by Yondu?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
There's a lot of really, really cool ideas. And some of them are kind of workarounds to like, it's maybe this person's destiny to change the universe. It's this person's destiny to become a hero. Even if this thing hadn't happened, then another thing would have happened.
Yeah.
And they still would have gotten, they still would have been important to whatever's happening.
Right.
So yeah, pretty sweet. And the fact that it's animated and MCU based just makes it directly overseen by Kevin Feige. This honestly excites me more than like any of the live action ones, which I'm excited about. I'm excited about all of those. But this one just like totally takes the cake for me.
Yeah. I think not the most popular, but the most known what if is like, what if Uncle Ben never died? Like I think that was one of like the most popular ones.
Now, I want to put this out there because we just got a question in the chat. Right now, we're just talking about different things. We're talking about the idea of a Marvel What If
On the Disney
animated
Plus
series
app.
on the Disney Plus app. We are going to go into our Captain Marvel talk. We're going to put up a spoiler warning on the broadcast when we do that, and we'll just leave that up so that anyone joining
We'll know when
will
we're
know that
talking.
we're talking about spoilers.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin the movie for you.
We will give you very ample warning.
Yes,
So,
I will tell you several times, and even throughout our spoiler, I will continue to bring it. I'll be like a broken record.
Yeah,
when it comes to it.
but we will be very, very careful about spoilers. So
Yeah.
you can stick with us till then.
Oh yeah. So with the what if, I don't even like. It's hard to say the what if like as a without something behind it, but like the series What If, with that being brought into the Disney Plus app, what other Disney Plus shows and stuff would you like to see?
I have had 2 ideas in the back of my head for a really long time. I don't know how many you have.
I have like 2 or 3.
Okay, I have 2. 2 different ideas for Disney Plus shows that are super exciting to me. One of them is kind of in line with a lot of the live action ones that they have already, but it's it would be about new characters. So the idea is, after Captain America goes down into the ice and he's frozen, there are still like stragglers from Hydra, stragglers from World War II that are still kind of out in the open. And you've got the SSR in that time. You've got Peggy Carter. You've got Howard Stark. You've still got Tommy Lee Jones's character out there, which I don't know if any of them, other than maybe like Agent Carter, would be showing up in this. But my idea is kind of an Invaders show. Mm-hmm. A group of characters that kind of take up Captain America's legacy and just kind of like finish his mission for him.
Yeah.
In a way. Kind of like a backup team. So it would be the original Human Torch, who actually made kind of a cameo in the first Captain America at the Stark Exposition. Mm-hmm. And Namor would be the main 2 characters, and that would be how you introduce Namor. And you could introduce him there and keep him around because he's like a really long-standing character.
Right.
But just kind of do an Invaders series based around those 2 people, maybe a couple other characters from the Invaders in the comics. The Invaders in the comics had Captain America and Bucky, but both of them wouldn't be able to show up.
Right.
But if you base it between Human Torch and Namor, and just kind of make those 2 the lead dynamic, and then make like a, sort of team around them, and maybe Agent Carter's there, kind of like supporting them as their Nick Fury or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be super sweet. So that's my first idea.
Yeah. I really, really enjoy that. See, with me, I was thinking of more like not MCU. Like, it is MCU like continuity, but it's kind of not at the same time. So like obviously the one I brought up the most is like, and if they do a darker, grittier version, like if they do decide to bring like Daredevil and all that over, and they want to do a darker, grittier version, or like a darker, grittier show, I truly think Moon Knight would be the perfect fit for like the streaming app. Like I wanted Moon Knight to be on the Netflix series, but if he gets like at least something on the Disney Plus app, I think that would be absolutely amazing because he's such a cool character to me. I don't really think he fits all that well in like the MCU, and like I really don't think that you would want to water his character down to kind of fit the MCU too, if you know what I mean. So I think Moon Knight would be absolutely amazing to see on the Disney Plus app. And then I'll go ahead and get my other one. I really, 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 really want a Beta Ray Bill show.
Yeah.
Like, I really want a Beta Ray Bill show.
That would be cool. And actually, there have been, like, murmurs of a Lady Sif show, which isn't super exciting to me until there were murmurs that Beta Ray Bill would kind of be the supporting character in
Yeah.
It would be Lady Sif and Beta Ray Bill kind of, like, journeying across the cosmos.
I'm all in.
Maybe hunting Infinity Stones, who knows, but that would be beautiful.
Oh, yeah. It's like the moment that we saw Beta Ray Bill, like his face in Thor Ragnarok, I was like, I need Beta Ray Bill at some point.
Here's a fun fact that I found out about, confirmed by Kevin Feige. In the same tower, in that same shot where Beta Ray Bill is up on the tower and his face is carved into it, he's a champion of Sakaar. Man-Thing is another champion of Sakaar.
Yeah, I saw that one too. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool if they brought either, like, it'd be cool if they brought both of those. But yeah, Beta Ray Bill is just one of the, like, the coolest. And if we're gonna do Beta Ray Bill, if we're gonna do Man Thing, give me Frog Thor.
Oh yeah.
Just give me Frog Thor and Squirrel Girl. Like, just give me those two.
Do the Thor core.
Do the Thor core, and I think that'd be fun.
Here's one that I have one more, but I have this one that I just thought of now that you said Squirrel Girl. They have a pilot floating around out there for a new Warriors show that was supposed to happen a super long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
If Disney Plus picks that up and makes that new Warriors show, the girl from the AT&T commercials plays Squirrel Girl in this new Warriors show.
Which AT&T commercials? Like
the ones with a girl in it. I don't know.
I'll look it up.
But,
I'll look it up.
So that girl plays Squirrel Girl. There's a pilot floating around out there. It was going to happen, I think, on ABC. But ABC didn't go for it. So if they were to convert that into a Disney Plus show, that would be amazing. Because a new Warriors show would be awesome. Her.
Okay.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
But my second idea for a Disney Plus show would be another animated show, but this would be an animated retelling. Have you ever read Marvels? Art by Alex Ross, and it's written by Kurt Busiek, I think.
Yeah, I think I read one, but it's been a while.
That is my favorite comic book of all time, and I absolutely love it. An animated retelling of Marvels, animated kind of like in a imitation of Alex Ross's art style, which is just amazing art style.
Yeah.
Just kind of like 2D animated. You can split it up into 4 chapters like the book.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And then if you found a great voice actor for the main character, he's just a normal human guy, human photographer. And maybe if you got MCU actors to come in for this show and reprise their roles,
that'd be cool.
It would be like impossible, and this is all just like a dream.
Yeah.
That would be the most amazing thing of all time because that book is so awesome.
Yeah, I need to check that out. But that would be really, really, really cool to see. So yeah, there's a lot of like good stuff coming with the Disney Plus app. Plus, who knows what we'll get like. This is just MCU wise. Who knows what we'll get Star Wars wise. Everything else. I think it would be really, really, really cool. Just to see everything kind of go on. And so if you have any ideas in the chat, let us know. Throw them in the chat. We've already got a few. We've got a lot of the what ifs that are really cool. Some of them are really cool. Some of them aren't. Like the what if Thanos' gauntlet was Apple Watches. That's if you don't know what that means, just go listen to Gump's podcast last Friday. We got into a tangent about ads in Endgame, how there might be like a bunch of ads, and so instead of the gauntlet, Thanos would just have Apple Watches, and so he would just swipe those, instead of the snap, it'd be a swipe. Yeah, that would not be fun. That would not be a good thing. But
that's cool.
But there are a few other like really good ones in the chat. What if the Infinity Stones never formed? That would be. I think that's like the whole existence of the universe in the MCU context.
That's another debate for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Because I've been wondering what happens if you destroy all the stones, because they destroyed the Mind Stone in Infinity War and everything was fine for the most part.
Yeah. Well, it was only destroyed for like 2 seconds too, though.
Right. But I think the implications would be pretty immediate if there was some like universe-ending issue. That's true. So, I don't know. Maybe you can destroy all the stones and everything's fine. Maybe they're just kind of weapons based off of different elements of reality. Yeah. And then we have... including reality.
Yeah. And then we have some of like, what if they just destroyed the Mind Stone when Vision first proposed to do so? Yeah, that would kind of go more into what you were talking about of like if they like what would the repercussions be if they actually destroyed like an Infinity Stone.
Right. And if they would have destroyed the stone earlier, that would have kind of negated the point of Infinity War as a story, which it would be an interesting thing to see played out as a what if scenario. But the point of Infinity War was that each one of the original Avengers and Star-Lord too failed in a certain way. Yeah. And kind of like made similar mistakes to how they initially did as a character. Which was really cool to see. So Captain America's mistake was that he wasn't willing to sacrifice the Vision. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like a point of Infinity War was that they each kind of didn't live up. So now they have to come together and not make the same mistakes again.
Right. And then one of the other ones I saw that was really cool was what if Thunderbolt Ross actually turned the Hulk into a weapon?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool to see. So there's a lot of like great ways to go for the Disney Plus app. There's a lot of great things to do.
That would kind of be a World War Hulk situation.
Yeah.
Where it would be probably Tony Stark would be called upon
to take it out.
To take him out. He'd have to make the Hulkbuster earlier. When Thor comes to Earth, he's got to help take him out.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool. So there's a lot of really good ideas for the Disney Plus app. I think it launches
later this year.
Yeah, like towards the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, there's no set date, but it's later this year.
Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as that thing launches, we'll talk about it for sure when it does happen. All right, so before we jump into Captain Marvel, yes, you can tell the new set. I just want to tell you that the next episode there will be a few new additions to our Funko family and our wall back here. I'm not going to tell you what they are yet, but you'll just have to look out for those. They're really cool, though. All three of them are really, really cool. But if you would like to send us some other stuff, you can message me on Twitter. You can email us at Nerd Crew Podcast, and we will love to have it up there as well. And people are asking, when is the change actually going to happen? When are we going to rebrand everything? And in a few weeks. In a few weeks, we'll start rebranding everything. We'll start changing some things around here. So, this is kind of a new setup. This is kind of a new way that we're trying to do things. But we are enjoying it. We're going to try it out as long as it can. I like this setup a little bit better than the other way we had. I feel like we are able to talk more.
We felt so far apart.
We did, but now we're close together, so it works.
Yes.
It works. All right, so Captain Marvel. Are you ready to talk about Captain Marvel?
I am.
Because holy crap, this movie is
a trip.
And it is
not what I expected.
No, and I'll go ahead and say this: it doesn't deserve a 31 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it's at now.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Rotten Tomatoes. I will
It's a
say
joke.
this
It's
for
a
the
joke.
last time.
It's a joke.
Rotten Tomatoes is a review aggregator that's not meant to be taken seriously as this movie is better than this movie.
Yep.
It's just a place where you collect reviews and they convert that into a tomato meter with a very simplistic scale.
Oh, wow.
Go see movies, formulate your own opinions on movies. And yes, now that people are actually seeing the film,
it's gone up some. Yeah.
The audience score has gone up from a 30 whatever to a 62 because people like the movie. Surprise! It's a good movie.
Shocker, shocker. So we're getting ready to do a spoiler free. We're going to talk about spoiler free. We're not going to go into anything. We're just going to kind of talk about if we liked it or not, and then we'll kind of rate it out of 10, do the normal things, and then we will jump into spoilers. So Jason, go ahead and tell me, what was your initial thoughts? What are your reactions to, without spoiling anything, what is your initial reaction to Captain Marvel?
Let's kind of go through the movie part by part, because that's kind of a big question. And also,
when you mean when you say part by part, what do you mean? Well,
let's start at the beginning of the movie,
okay,
and kind of talk about it in a sequence, because this is a movie that we've both waited for a very long time, and there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
So, Captain Marvel starts out, and
this is a spoiler-free right here.
You're right. We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
My reaction to
I'm glad I caught you before we did that.
Yes, thank you. My reaction to Captain Marvel, on the whole, it was solid.
Mm-hmm.
It was not stellar. It was definitely not bad. It was kind of on the weaker end of MCU origin stories for me. And there are a lot of good things in it, as there are in almost all MCU movies. I'd rate it around Black Panther for me right now. And I have Black Panther a lot lower than most people. And I like Black Panther, and it's a good movie. I've talked about it extensively before.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those are just kind of above Age of Ultron for me. And around Captain America, the First Avenger range. Around Iron Man 3 range. So kind of on the lower end of my middle tier of MCU films.
Okay.
It's fun, but it's flawed. It's got a lot of obvious issues, just like Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the messier movies, I think, that Marvel has made, sort of in an endearing way, but also in a just straight up messy way.
Right.
It's kind of got a messy script
Yeah.
occasionally.
Yeah.
The characters in it, Nick Fury is awesome, and the way that they handle his character is awesome. And there are some twists with him that I find really funny.
Yeah.
And add to his character a whole lot, because what the MCU does a lot of the time is they kind of reframe their characters. So like with Captain America, the Avengers was written and directed by Joss Whedon, and then you've got Winter Soldier, which was written by different people, directed by the Russo brothers. Captain America is still essentially the same character, but they're reframing him and putting him in a different situation to where you're looking at his character differently, so it feels different.
Mm-hmm.
The best example of this is the difference between Thor in Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
He is still essentially the same character in a whole lot of ways. He makes the same decisions that his character would, but he's just kind of reframed completely.
Yeah.
With a completely different tone, with completely different supporting cast, and it just makes him that much more interesting.
Yeah.
He was already kind of evolving as a character into a more like plucky cosmic adventurer in Age of Ultron, and you could see that evolution slowly taking place.
Mm-hmm.
But in Ragnarok, it wasn't such a drastic change with his own character. It was just like putting him into a different light.
Right.
And that's the same thing that they do with Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. You see him in a new way, and it's still the same character, but he's just kind of like reframed.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Yeah. For me, I think we finally have a sort of a different opinion. It's just sort of the same opinion, but different. For me, origin stories in the MCU are, you have your top tier. So like the top tier is like the first Iron Man. I don't think anything's going to pass the first Iron Man. It's absolutely amazing. And Ant-Man is up there for both of us as like being a really good origin story. But for me, the lower tier like origin stories are like the first Thor movie. I wasn't a huge fan of. The first Captain America movie, I wasn't a huge fan of. Doctor Strange was just kind of okay for me. It wasn't anything spectacular. So like for me, Captain Marvel is more in the upper tier from up. It's more like of the upper middle tier for me. So like we've talked about this before. You have your lower tier for us, which is like Thor: The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk, Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2. Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Have to do it to him.
Yeah. But like those are like the lower tier. And when we say lower tier, I don't necessarily mean like, I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's just not that great of a MCU movie. You know what I mean?
No, and that's the whole thing when you talk about MCU movies. We've said this a lot before, but there are only two ones that are explicitly bad.
Thor: The Dark World and The Incredible Hulk.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are two. Like, there are aspects of Age of Ultron that we both really, really like. The last fight scene, the first fight scene in Age of Ultron is amazing.
That's my favorite one. I think the movie starts out strong and then just goes
down
downhill.
Yeah, and like the
Hulk
first
versus Hulkbuster
was great,
awesome.
and then from that point on, it falls. It tanks. Ant-Man and the Wasp. If they didn't show the entire movie in the trailer, I think we would like it a lot better.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is the Marvel movie that I like the least, and Thor: The Dark World is the one that I don't like the most.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got you. It was still fun. But I think the most memorable moment of Ant-Man and the Wasp was the end credit scene, for sure. So that's the difference between those two. And then, like I said, like Captain America was okay, but like in a good way. Like all these movies were just okay in a good way, or like decent in a good way. For me, I really, really, really enjoyed Captain Marvel. My favorite, like Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson always does an outstanding job in the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really think he's had a bad performance.
He brings just like so much his own energy
to
the character,
and it works, and it works every time. But for me, like it's her movie, and like she was getting a crap ton of flack over her movie, and like how like she didn't like blah 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 in the trailers. Brie Larson absolutely killed it for me. I can see her. And this is kind of like character-wise, this isn't spoiling anything. I can see her being the next few phases version of Tony Stark, except completely different. Of like the hothead, she knows everything, she's better than everybody, she doesn't need any help. But like she could still be, there really could be like two or three, like there could be three leaders of the Avengers coming out of Endgame. You could have Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange. And Spider-Man, and even Winter Soldier if you wanted to.
And Ant-Man.
I don't know about
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I don't know about Wasp. Ant-Man, I would say yes. I would say Ant-Man more than Wasp.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just thinking Ant-Man was introduced first.
Yeah.
I like Ant-Man better. I think everyone
But I don't really
likes
see
Ant-Man better.
I don't really see Ant-Man as a leader. Like especially like after the writing of Ant-Man the Wasp, I really don't see him as a leader.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is true. Yes.
But like Captain Marvel, like I could see her as being a leader.
Yes.
And Brie Larson is the perfect choice for Captain Marvel.
She is, and with Captain Marvel, it's not a top tier MCU movie in terms of the writing. The writing,
right?
It kind of suffers sometimes, especially with her character, because she's split between kind of this like snarky, self-aware '90s kid and this like ultimate like Kree warrior, stone-faced killer.
Yeah.
So I like both of those, but they kind of like don't mesh super well within the writing, and she sells both of them really well. Mm-hmm. What I'm excited to see is her in Endgame interacting with the other Avengers, because as I've told you and I've told a few other people when they asked for my thoughts on the movie before, she's not really like Doctor Strange to me or like Black Panther, to where I only see her having chemistry with select people in the Avengers.
She can have chemistry with everybody.
And that's not a knock to either of those characters. It's just that Black Panther and Tony Stark would not have chemistry in the way that Doctor Strange and Tony Stark did.
Right.
Or Doctor Strange and Captain America wouldn't have chemistry the way that Doctor Strange and Tony Stark did.
Right.
So with Carol, I could see her having chemistry with almost every character out of everything. Out of everything, out of the Avengers, or out of the Endgame team at least. Her and Rocket would be an
amazing
awesome pairing.
Yes.
Her and Nebula would be an awesome pairing.
Yes.
Her and Tony Stark, her and Cap, her and Thor would all have like fantastic chemistry.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest takeaway from Captain Marvel, is that was okay, and it was fun to see a lot of the things that happened before Avengers. I think the way that they tied a lot of things in was interesting, and the characters that we got to see were cool, especially Nick Fury. But I'm more excited to see her in Endgame because she was set up to be a really interesting like piece of the puzzle or piece of the team dynamic.
Right, and like for me, I think you just kind of hit on the head of like this movie wasn't perfect. But, like, the thing I think I got the most excited for after watching this movie is how they're going to handle her in the future. Like, how the Russo brothers in Endgame are going to handle Captain Marvel is absolutely exciting for me. Because, like, I think that they are going to use her as this massive... Basically, like, what they kind of did for Captain America, I think they'll do for Captain Marvel. Like, make her this really cool, really awesome character that, like, you're going to care... Like, I care about her already, but, like... You're really going to invest in her even more, to where all the little flaws that she may have had in Captain Marvel are not going to matter because she's just that freaking awesome. And so, like, that's part of the reason why I really, really, really enjoyed this movie is because, like, I'll tell you this, one of the reasons why I loved Aquaman, or liked Aquaman, is because Jason Momoa was having the time of his life shooting that movie and playing Aquaman. Brie Larson was having the time of her life playing Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And, like, I appreciate that. Like, I really, really, really appreciate that. So, like, I really think, like, she could be a leader. I think she could be one of the next driving forces in the next few phases. And I'm very excited to see what they do with her from here on out. So, for me, while it wasn't a perfect movie, while, yes, there were writing issues, and... Yes, the CGI always didn't look perfect, but when it's a CGI-heavy movie, not everything's going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the movie. I had a great time. Brie Larson absolutely killed it for me. Samuel L. Jackson absolutely killed it for me. Goose the Cat absolutely killed it for me. Jude Law was absolutely amazing in his role. Basically, there wasn't a bad casting choice in this movie, which is not a shock for an MCU movie. But, like, everybody absolutely did a fantastic job playing their parts in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Maria Rambeau was kind of a standout for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, Maria and Nick Fury were probably my two favorite parts. And then, obviously, with an origin story, you have to say the main character.
Yeah. And then, like, Ben Mendelsohn was absolutely amazing.
Yes.
He was absolutely amazing.
Totally.
who played. Well, I'm not going to say the name, but the other.
Annette Bening.
Yeah, she's
as Marvel.
She's fantastic.
Yes.
I love Annette Bening. Annette. I'm just going to call her Annette.
Yeah, Annette.
I love Annette.
Something that I realized about myself is when I'm watching kind of like hero's journey based stories. I really like kind of the mentor characters. Obi-Wan in the Star Wars trilogy is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Hank Pym in the Ant-Man movies is one of my favorite characters out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I really liked Marvel's character because I really like kind of the mentor characters, even though we didn't see like a whole lot of her.
Right. We got enough of how she worked and just how the chemistry between her and Brie Larson were amazing anyway. But like you said, we may not have got a whole lot of it, but it was still great what we got.
And I think that the gender reversal of Marvel worked absolutely great.
Yeah.
I had no issue with that whatsoever. I think that people are going to have an issue because it's like, well, why would you gender bend it when you just can't, when you could just not, is what I was trying to say. And I think whenever you find for the role that Marvel had in the movie, and for the actress that they got to play her, I think synced up.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
And I think sometimes it just comes down to who is the best person for the role. And I think for kind of a mentor character who is in the Air Force with Carol.
Yeah.
And is kind of a mentor to her in that aspect of her life. It worked really, really well.
Yeah.
To have that actress in that role.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think that's kind of all we can talk about without getting into a whole lot of spoilers. So for you, out of 10, what would you give Captain Marvel?
I would probably give it at this point in time, I would give it a strong 6.
Okay.
Or a 6.5. Just kind of because it wasn't one of the stronger origin stories for me, and I feel like there were kind of a lot of novice mistakes. Kind of the same way that I feel about Black Panther. I might warm up to it on my second viewing, but right now it's a 6 or a 6.5. Still above Age of Ultron, though.
Yeah. For me, it's like, just because of, one, Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson and all the casting, and which we'll talk about, but like the plot to me was a little different than most like MCU origin stories in a way, which I really enjoyed and I really appreciate.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like an origin story in a lot of ways.
It did, but it didn't. Which, like, I completely love that. It was completely different than just all right, they got their powers. Oh, there's somebody that has just as much power as they do. Now they have to fight them, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
This seemed completely different, and I loved it. So there was a lot of issues. There were some issues with it. Some issues that I can look past, some issues that I can't really look past. But for me, it's like a 7 to 7.5 for me. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. And I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with her in the future.
That's the thing that I'm most excited about is her appearance in Endgame.
So yeah, that's Endgame and Beyond is what that's what they should have called the movie, was Avengers Endgame and Beyond.
Yeah.
And have Buzz Lightyear in it.
Yes. Please, Tim Allen, MCU character.
I'd love it. Honestly, I would love it.
And it is now time we are transitioning into
spoiler
territory.
If you have not seen Captain Marvel yet, get out of here. What are you doing in here in the first place? No. Go watch the movie, then come back here and check us out. But yes, we are getting into spoilers in the next few seconds. I will reiterate this again. I'll let you know for sure when we're going to talk about spoilers. But we are getting ready to dive into some spoiler territories here in about 5 seconds. So if you haven't seen it, get out of here. Go watch the movie. Come back. Talk to us about it later. Tweet us about it. We'd love to talk to you about that. So getting into spoiler territory, I'll kind of ease into it to where we're not like dropping a bomb as somebody's getting ready to leave. The opening sequence with Stan Lee was amazing.
It was.
I actually kind of got a little choked up watching it because I was like, oh man, this sucks. Like, if they're doing this for Captain Marvel, what the heck are they going to do with Endgame?
I agree.
Like, I think they're going to do something big. And even his cameo was like super sweet.
I loved his cameo so much because it felt like kind of a slight fourth wall break.
Yeah.
A little bit to where she just looks at him and she just knows.
And she just smiles and keeps on walking. Yeah, Stan Lee is going to be missed for sure. Without Stan Lee, we probably wouldn't be sitting here doing what we're doing and we wouldn't be seeing the movies that we
Yeah.
that we love. So, man, he influenced a lot of people. So yeah, I think they said that he will have an appearance in Endgame and Far From Home, and I think maybe one other. They said they've already shot, which makes me think maybe
Dark Phoenix.
maybe
I hope not.
I forgot about that movie. Crap, don't show him in Dark Phoenix. But yeah, so the opening montage of him,
Yeah,
all of his,
it'll bring it up in quality. We want to hate it.
yeah, that's true.
That's not true, but
No. But like all what I loved is like it was all the montages of not just his cameos, but like him interacting with all the actors and actresses. So that was really, really cool to see. So yeah, I really, really, really appreciate that. I loved it. Great way to start off the movie. So yeah, I'll let you kind of go ahead and go with the direction that you were going with at the beginning before I stopped you from spoiling some stuff. So
Right. So we start off the movie and we are in space, and it's the first 20 minutes of the movie, which a lot of people have already touched on, jumps around really quickly.
yeah,
And it's just kind of like a straight cosmic movie at the beginning. And it's Carol, it's kind of like the beginning of Winter Soldier, where she's just like resting at home and then she's doing some other stuff and then off to a mission.
yeah,
And we're off to the planet Torfa with the Kree Star Force.
yep,
And then, so there's this group of like locals on this planet that they're interacting with, and they've gotten a call that there are Skrulls there. And then, surprise, all the locals are Skrulls. And the way that they figure this out is really cool, and it's kind of a classic Skrull twist that one of the Star Force members comes up and talks to Minerva, who's like the sniper for the Kree.
yeah,
And then she sees him. She sees the same guy through the barrel of her gun. So she just starts like attacking the guy standing next to her.
yeah.
Which I liked a lot of the Skrull twists throughout the movie.
I did, yeah. And like we've talked about this is like, well, we'll get to that here in a little bit. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I want to stay in the sequence of talking about things.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like you said, you kind of jumped around a whole lot in the first part. I really like how they did the Supreme Intelligence. I really enjoy. Like I thought that was a really, really cool moment. Seeing them. I love the early like training scenes between Yon-Rogg and Captain Marvel. I liked seeing them two fight. It was funny. Her blasting him, and then the face that she made. Shocker. She can do facial expressions really well.
Yeah,
and
wow.
She did really good.
I thought she was just a robot. That's what everyone on 4chan said.
It's not like she's ever won an Oscar before, that type of thing. No, but like she, when the whole like fight scene between the two of them at the beginning, the training scene was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you said, they go on the mission. I really love the underwater shot. I know we've seen it like in the trailers, but I really like the whole idea of like how she has her mohawk, like how she has a mohawk makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's something that was really cool to see. But yeah, like you said, the first 20 minutes of this movie jumps around a lot, like a lot. So that's something that kind of hit and miss, but
Right. So she gets kind of duped, and then she gets abducted by the Skrulls for a second, and then we get this really cool sequence of the Skrulls kind of like fishing through her memory.
yeah,
And it's really cool how they do it. They fish around between different memories all the way back to when she was a kid. And then they get to a part where she's talking to Dr. Wendy Lawson.
Yeah.
And she doesn't remember who this is because she really doesn't have any memories of anything. And she's like, I don't know who this person is. Why do I keep seeing this person? And he's like, well, it's in your memory somewhere.
yeah,
What do you remember? What don't you remember? So she just kind of breaks out and she starts wrecking all the Skrulls on the ship. And I like it because her powers are kind of toned down compared to where they are later in the movie. So we get to see that growth for her.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that I don't like, binary Captain Marvel, because I think that's super awesome. And I think she fits right in the group dynamic in Avengers. But I think that opening fight scene on not the opening fight scene, but the one on the Skrull ship is pretty sweet.
yeah.
And then she takes an escape pod and she crash lands on Earth.
And the blockbuster, yeah, which was going back to the like them going into your mind. That's a really cool. Like that was a really cool moment of like them talking like through, like her being able to hear them, but like being confused by them,
Mm-hmm.
and like going through like that. But like you said, the fight scene, like the actual fight with her like wrecking a whole bunch of scrolls was really cool. The one thing I wish we kind of would have gotten in this movie that we didn't was the what are they called? The like super scrolls or
Well, there is one super scroll.
the big dude that pops through, right? Or is that something? Am I missing something else?
You mean the Fantastic Four villain?
Well, I thought there was like a bunch of like there's multiple.
A bunch of super scrolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I would like them to save Super Scroll for Fantastic Four, though.
Yes. No, that would be
he kind
fine.
of has all of their 4 powers.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. But yeah, like I really enjoyed the fight scene on the scroll ship.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you kind of got to see Ben Mendelsohn like do his thing really well.
And you got to see more of who she is and what her character
Yeah,
is.
which
And
was-
I like when she's like kind of bound by the these 2 like metal attachments.
It reminded me of you remember in the first Incredibles movie the
Yeah.
black blob things that are on Mr. Incredible's hands. As he's, yeah, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, I really like. I really love one of the things I really did like was how like the scrolls looked. I thought they might look a little weird, but they looked amazing.
Especially the worker scrolls.
Yeah,
So like there were some worker scrolls up on that ship, and like the one that gets like really close to her,
and,
when she's in
like
the
tapping her
memory
on the
thing.
head. Yeah, tapped her on the head. Yeah,
He looked so cool, and he looked like totally like a classic scroll. So I like that they have more humanoid scrolls like Ben Mendelsohn, and they have kind of the worker scrolls too.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was really cool.
That was really cool. So, but then like you said, she gets in the pod. She falls into Earth. She goes through the blockbuster. When she arrived in the blockbuster was actually really funny. Her walking through, she picked up the right stuff, and then she put it back down. Then she shot. I don't remember who it was, but she shot one of the poster boards that was so funny. And then her interaction with the security guard I thought was really funny too.
Yeah.
And then so that whole one of the things I will say is
And
like
I like when he rolls down his window, he's playing "What a Man." by
yeah.
Santana. I love that song. That
Okay,
was
so
really
I'm glad you
funny.
brought that up. The soundtrack to this movie was amazing. I really, really liked it.
I gotta say, there are parts where I like the soundtrack more than others, and it wasn't a Guardians level soundtrack. to
No,
me.
but
Both of
I
the
still
Guardians
enjoyed
movies
it.
have incredible
Yeah.
soundtracks. I liked a lot of the music that they played. Some of it felt a little bit out of place, and some of it was super obvious, like choices.
Yeah,
But that "What a Man"
it fit really well.
inclusion, that was a really
It
good
fit
one.
really well. But yeah, like she taps, like she knocks on the window. I think one of the funniest things was like, "Are you in charge of this sector?" And he was like, "Kind of. The movie theater has their own guy." And like she just kind of looks at him.
Where can I get communications equipment?
In Radio
Reports at
Shack.
Radio
Yeah,
Shack.
that's amazing. So yeah, that part was really, really funny. One of the things I will say though about this movie is like the humor in it, like at times was really funny. There were some times where like the humor hit perfectly, and then there are other times it was like you really are trying to force the humor here.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that's a flaw in like every superhero movie now. Is like they try to be too funny sometimes, and it's like don't be like when it's funny, but like don't try too hard to make it funny.
Yeah, I think it just kind of has to do with who your director is, because
Yeah.
if you're doing Thor Ragnarok, some
Right.
people complained about how that movie went full comedy. I thought it was beautiful.
That worked
because
perfectly.
The director Taika Waititi was amazing.
Yeah,
I think that it just kind of depends. If you're aiming for a certain tone and you miss it, then you
Right.
And Captain Marvel missed the mark sometimes, but sometimes it was
for the most
really
part.
funny.
For the most part, though, I think the humor hit pretty well.
Yeah, because MCU movies are good and because they're funny.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's the most obvious answer.
That's very true. So, all right, go ahead with. So we are at the Radio Shack.
Yeah, and then the following morning, Nick Fury pulls up because he's with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
and he's like, I heard about some crazy lady in like a rubber costume.
Well, we did miss the Skrulls landed.
Yeah, so 4 Skrulls landed on the beach.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting to keep track of all 4 of these Skrulls as
Yeah.
they turn into different people, because there are 4 Skrulls that land, and we only have 3 Skrulls throughout the movie who are accounted for. We have Talos,
The science
we have
guy.
the science guy,
Which was funny.
and we have the Skrull who turned into Coulson.
Yeah,
But there's one more Skrull
I completely forgot about that one.
that we don't know where he is by the end of the movie. unless I'm missing something, or unless everybody is missing something, there's one more Skrull left on Earth that we don't know where he is. And if that comes into play later,
that would be
wonderful.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of an interesting setup there.
Huh.
What was I trying to say? Oh, yeah. Nick Fury shows up, and just immediately they kind of hit it off, even though he thinks she's totally crazy at first. And it's really fun, and Agent Coulson is there. And then they get ambushed by Skrulls while she's talking about Skrulls, and he's like, "What the heck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like, and he's like joking around with her, and he thinks she's completely crazy. And then they get blasted by aliens. And she like takes off running after them, and then there's this train scene which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And then Nick Fury hops in his car and he drives away with Agent Coulson. And so
Poor
they're
Coulson.
driving along. Yeah.
He dies so many times.
Yeah. And then they make it to the train station, and she's looking around, and then we see the scene where
She decks the old lady.
she punches the old lady in the face because she knows it's a Skrull because she saw the same old lady earlier.
Okay, here's my question about that. You see this old lady, like, flipping around, kicking everything, but yet everybody was trying to stop her from fighting. Like, it's like,
Yeah, I know.
that like, if I saw a grandma flipping around like that, I could think, like, she could take it, like, she can handle her own. So, like, what's the point of trying to stop it?
Now, I do have to say that these people don't have any idea who either of these people
That's
are.
true.
So, for all they know, they're both bad people who need to be stopped.
That's true. But they didn't, nobody tried to stop that
I don't
old
know
lady.
why they thought they could stop her, was my question.
That's very true. That's a very good point.
So, yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, and it's a really neat fight scene. And then the Skrull turns into another guy, and the and the guy that it turns into sees it turn into him, and then it jumps up and away, and he's just like, he's just like shocked, and amazed. It was a cool moment. But yeah, and then we've got Fury and Coulson chasing them in the car, and Agent Coulson calls Nick Fury from the Blockbuster, and he's like, "Hey, sir, I think you left me here on accident." And the Skrull that's in his car turns over to him, and then they start fighting, and they lose control, and they get in a crash.
Yeah.
And Skrull Coulson dies. Rest in peace.
That's fine. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have some sweet music behind
Well, no,
me.
I'll move that back because this is normally when our podcast normally ends. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they can't hear music though, so we're good.
So I'm going to take these
That's
off
fine.
really quick.
That's fine. I'll let you know when you're good.
Yeah, so where was I? I
You're
was
good.
on Skrull Coulson. I completely lost what I was talking
Scroll. They just got into the crash.
about. Okay.
They just got into the crash.
Um,
You gotta love technology, man.
and then help me out with what happens next.
Okay, so you
Because I'm not
have
good with movies after the first viewing.
the crash, and then you have Carol Danvers, or Vers, which is her name.
Yeah, they say it is Veers.
Veers,
Which is
but
weird because it should be pronounced Vers, but it's Veers.
Yeah, well, they're Cree,
Because
so they
Veers
can.
does sound better.
Yeah. So, Veers she's walking through the train station trying to find the guy that just turned, trying to find the other Skrull, and you see the shot of Coulson, or not Coulson, you see the shot of Nick Fury kind of like, he has a scratch over his eye, which I absolutely love that they threw that in there. He has a scratch over his eye, and his eye's red with blood. And he kind of turns and looks, and there's a dead Skrull right beside him, like messed up, absolutely wrecked. So he like gets out, freaks out. And then like he says official really weird, but he says official Shield business, and there's like he's part. This is Shield, blah blah blah, whatever. Previously though, during the fight scene in the train, we forgot to mention, and we forgot to mention this about. I don't know if you actually mentioned this or not. During the scene where they are going through going through her mind, they have like these little green rocks that are like their data of stuff, and so like they have her data, and the Skrull that she was fighting on the train had that green rock, and so after like the Skrull drops it, Carol picks it up, has it with her, and so after the whole scene of like her going through the train station trying to find somebody, she can't, so she's in an alley. And she puts the rock in her, I don't know what it's called. It's some high-tech Kree thing. Yeah, high-tech Kree thing that she can scroll through. Basically, it's like an iPhone on her wrist.
Sure.
And she can scroll through. She sees pictures. She sees pictures of her at Poncho's bar. And so this is the funny scene of her in the library on those old school computers, like typing Pancho's bar and looking it up, and then she loses connection. She loses her dial up, so it goes away. So then she's looking at the map. That's when the motorcycle dude pulls up and is like hitting on her, and like she keeps ignoring him. Then she steals some clothes from a mannequin, jumps on a bike, and drives away.
A 9 Inch Nail shirt.
Yes, which is amazing. I love that. And so then we cut back to S.H.I.E.L.D., where they're doing the autopsy of the dead Skrull.
Yes.
Which was really cool to see that. And so like then you have Ben Mendelsohn comes in, who is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. I forget. I don't think they ever actually said what his real name was.
As a Skrull?
No, as the
Oh yeah, I don't
Nick's boss. I don't remember if they said it or not, but he comes in and it's just they're talking about it, whatever. They kind of just go back and forth on dialogue, and then Nick kind of moves up the sheet on the dead Skrull to see what he's packing, see what it looks like, which was funny.
Yeah, that was really weird, but
I thought it was
everybody
funny.
laughed.
Yeah,
and I laughed.
Because like in my mind, I was like, part of me would actually probably do the same thing. Like, there's a part of me that probably would have done the same thing just to see what they're packing.
Yeah.
So then Nick leaves, and then you have Ben Mendelsohn's character talking to the dead Skrull about everything. So then he leaves, and then I'm trying to remember what happened after that. Because after that scene, I believe is when we get the scene of Carol driving to Pancho's bar, and that's when her and Nick Fury meet back up, and they have their little conversation in the bar. No, hang on. So did you talk about Pegasus any?
No.
Okay, so in the scene where the scene where they're going through her brain is a really important scene. You need to pay attention to that scene because they look at Dr. Wendy Lawson's badge and it says Pegasus on it. Mm-hmm. And so when Carol was going through her iPhone thing on her wrist, she found the Pegasus thing. So then she's looking for Pegasus. So then she goes to Pancho's bar. She sees the picture of the airplane with the Pegasus symbol on it. She asks where Pegasus is, and that's when Nick Fury comes out. And then they go through their whole thing of like, like I need to know like if you are a Skrull or not. Like I need to go like all the way back through your memory, blah blah blah. So they start going. I didn't know he was from Huntsville, Alabama. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The funny one was he can't if toast is cut diagonal, he can't eat it. I thought that was really, really funny to see that. And then you have the whole scene of like, well, how do I not know that you're a Skrull? And then she shoots the binary blast from her arm, and he's like, and like, how am I supposed to?
To me?
How am I not supposed to know?
They were just shooting lasers.
So like the whole, but like this is where you really get to see the chemistry between Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson.
And this is when the movie really starts like moving.
Yeah, and starts to pick up really quick.
Something about this movie that I heard it described, the way that I heard it described, which I definitely agree with, is it's kind of split into 3 parts. And you've got this first part where you get going on this cosmic space adventure and then that ends. And then you get going on this buddy cop adventure between Carol Danvers and Nick Fury and that ends. And then you get going on this adventure where it's like all of the characters are in play and it's like the big finale, and then that movie ends. So it's kind of like 3 different movies stuck together. Not that they should be 3 separate movies, but it's like there are kind of 3 different tones throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Or 3 different goals. And it doesn't really go full force in one clear direction.
Right.
But this part is my favorite part, kind of like the middle stretch.
Yeah.
Where it's mostly just Carol and Fury, and then they go to investigate Project Pegasus.
Which is amazing.
They're trying to get clearance through the door, and Nick Fury does some spy stuff to where he takes the fingerprint on a piece of Scotch tape and holds it up to the fingerprint scanner, and they make it through. And then they come up to another fingerprint.
Well, that's
door.
where you see. Well, when Nick walks back through with Carol, that's when you meet Goose for the first time.
Yeah,
Goose comes up, and Nick Fury's like. It's the scene that you've seen in the trailer of like him, like, oh, look at whatever.
Fury.
Fury, just straight up Fury. And then so then you get Carol. Yeah, so go ahead with what you were saying before then with the second door.
Yeah, so he goes back to get another piece of Scotch tape, and she just blasts the door open, and he's like, You let me play with tape when you could do that or something like that.
She said, "I didn't want to steal your thunder." Just walks in, and
that was a really good moment between them.
And so when they were in the not the holding cell, but like the little office, you see the pager.
Yeah.
And on the pager, Nick is asking for backup or telling the head guy at Shield, one of Ben Mendelsohn's characters, that he's with the assailant or the whatever they called her. And so back up immediately. So you have Shield agents coming. He's just kind of stalling for time at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when you have Shield agents start to come up. And that's when you have, which was really cool in the car ride to Pegasus. That's when they go through the whole dialogue, which by the way is when the Noble Warrior Heroes dialogue was in, and it didn't bother me as bad as I thought it was going to.
In context, it makes sense.
Yeah, in context, it made a lot of sense. But yeah, it's when you go through, or when he's driving through, they right after he does his clearance, he says Nicholas Joseph Fury. And that's when they go on the whole conversation of nobody calls him Nicholas or Nick or Joseph. Everybody calls him Fury.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a big deal, like going into the Pegasus scene, when, all the characters come in. We'll get to that in a second. But then this is where, so when they go through, when Carol blasts through the door, she has like 4 names in this movie. But like when they go through the door, they start going through the files of Dr. Wendy Lawson. And that's when you start to find out a lot of really, really, really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you find her map for
Carol finds these things out too.
Yeah. This is a really big plot point for finding out who she really is. Because then you get you see the diagram of the light speed engine. You see all that. Fury tells Carol that Dr. Lawson's dead, and in the crash, she took a pilot down with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when things kind of get a little hairy, whatever. And so Nick walks off because the Shield agents are here, and so she kind of grabs the file that he was looking at and kind of looks through it, and she sees Maria Rambeau's testimony, and then she looks at the picture of Maria and Dr. Lawson. And when she looks at that, she looks in the right-hand corner, and there she is standing there. So she realized that she had a life on, what did they call it, C-53? I think that was that she had a life on C-53 up to that point.
She was the pilot who flew that mission with Dr. Lawson with the Lightspeed engine.
Yeah.
That's when she realizes that. She was the pilot who got shot down, and she's like, this is probably where my life on Earth ended and my life as a Kree began.
Yeah. And so she kind of have, is that when she starts to kind of have some flashbacks as well? I don't think so. I think that's when you get Nick going down to meet with Ben Mendelsohn's Shield character.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going back up, and when they're going back up, that's when he says, good job, Nicholas. And that's when Fury kind of gives him this little weird look of like, what? And
Nick also talks about a mission that they ran
in
together,
Havana,
that they never actually ran together.
Right, yeah. So that kind of gave him the idea that he was a Skrull. So then he gets off at 5, Mendelsohn gets off at 6. But during that time, Brie Larson is calling, I'm just going to call her Brie Larson. Brie Larson is calling Yon-Rogg, telling him all that she's found out about herself. About how she, had a life on C-53, how she was a pilot, how she knew Dr. Wendy Lawson, and she found out when Dr. Wendy Lawson was Kree because she had all the Kree markings, or she was doing all the Kree stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a big plot point of. That's when we find out that she was Mar-Vell, which I freaked out when I found out she was Mar-Vell. I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. But yeah.
Well, because Walter Lawson is the name of Mar-Vell in the comics.
I did not know that.
Fun fact.
The more you know.
Yeah.
You need the little star wipe. The more you know. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, so that's when we start to find out a whole lot about she has so many names. Carol, Veers.
Yeah, Carol, Veers.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. Cap
Yeah,
Carol.
Carol. We'll call it Carol. But yeah, so we learned a lot about Carol here. This is when Jan Rog tries to like hide a lot of stuff from her as well, a lot of her backstory. And then we get the really cool scene of then we get the scene of Nick running back trying to get her. That's when SHIELD agents come in. That's when you hear somebody tell Coulson that they're going to take Fury down, whether dead or alive.
And he's like, okay,
what?
I guess.
Yeah. And so then you get like the really cool scene of like Fury trying to escape, blah, blah, whatever. You have the fight scene between him and Ben Mendelsohn, which is really cool because like his glasses get knocked off and he says, I don't really need these to see, but they kind of complete the look, don't they? And then pop them back on and then like beats the crap out of him some more. Carol comes in, makes the save, which is a wrestling term. She comes in, makes the save. I love when she blasts somebody because like they disappear for a second and then they just land like slide.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And then they escape, and then you had the funny line of like, really, you had to turn me in, and he was like, my bad, as they're like running away. So, and then after that, I'm trying to make sure like we don't skip over anything when we're talking about this.
We can. It's a long movie.
It is a long movie. But I feel like it could have been longer as well. But
it went by really quickly, which is something I'm happy about because a lot of MCU movies lately have felt like they've gone on a long time when they shouldn't have.
Black Panther felt like it was a while.
And the Wasp.
Black Panther felt like it was a long time too.
It did, yeah. But Captain Marvel kind of breezes by, even though there are a lot of things in there. So that's a good thing about it is that it doesn't kind of overstay its welcome, even for people who are interested in what's going on, even for fans.
Yeah,
you know.
So after they escape. They go to... No, after they escape on the...
Proto-Quinjet.
Yeah, which looked amazing.
Yeah.
And Goose is a stowaway, which was funny when they were taking off and you see... They look back, because they hear a noise, they look back and Goose is like laying on one of the boxes freaking out. So then that's when you see Goose and Carol and Nick flying off. They're flying off, and so they're going to go meet with... Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
And has that, where's Louisiana? Oh, you just go to Memphis and then take a right. You know, that was funny. So then they land in they land where Maria is. And that's when they meet for the first time. That's where they meet, not for the first time, but, well, for the first time that Carol remembers.
And my other favorite music instance is they're playing "You Gotta Be" by Desiree.
Yes.
At Maria's house.
Yeah.
And it's like those are the kind of subdued ones, and the music moments that are really like in your face are the ones that I don't like as much.
Is it
like the final fight with Just a Girl? I like that song. It was really loud, it was like really in your face during that scene.
Come As You Are, Nirvana.
Come As You Are. Love that song. When she's meeting the Supreme Intelligence, it's just like really in your face.
It's really loud.
And Guardians kind of understands how to use music better, but no, like those are my two favorite music instances in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought those were cool.
Yeah, they did really well on that part. So like after they meet with Maria and Monica, which is cool to see Monica. Mm-hmm. They kind of go back and forth. They reminisce.
She will be back later.
Yes, she will. Yes, she will. They go back and forth. They talk about
where the heck Carol has been.
Yeah, what all's going on. Monica brings back all these photos, and like she starts to kind of remember some things. And then that's when she runs off to get Carol's old jacket. And then when that happens, they're talking about, I forget what they're talking about. But oh no, that's when the neighbor knocks on the door, and Carol goes to answer it, and like he was like, "Can me and the boys go see the bird parked out in the front yard?" And she was like, "The boys, the bird, the front lawn. You're really trying hard on this one, Talos, aren't you?"
Ask him a question that only he would know the answer to.
Yeah, and like it was. They slowly start to come back, and then that's when. Talos is actually behind him, which I thought was a really cool moment. Of like, he said, you never know, you need to be nice to your neighbor. You never know when they need a cup of sugar. And like then he has the drink, and it was a really weird moment. It was really funny.
Yeah.
And then that's when like the science guy Skrull was outside with Monica, but he was disguised as Maria. So they were all talking. And so they kind of go back and forth. She decides not to kill him. because he has the black box of the crash site. And this is where things really, really start to pick up. Because they start to listen, which was, I think, my favorite joke of the whole movie. Is when they're like the black box is loading and like all the space like who are not used to like really fast technology. This was slow like loading up, and Carol was like, "What's going on?" And Nick was just chilling back like, "It's just loading." Like it was one of those slow, like super slow.
Yeah, and the squirrel science guy is just looking around at
it. Was like,
yeah,
it was really funny. Then we get the audio of the black box, which I'll let you kind of. Do you remember the audio or like what happens in the crash? Like this is talking about the whole crash scene.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of going over. Mar-Vell is telling her, "Oh, I shouldn't have gotten you caught up in this, and I'm so sorry. You know, I'm a member of an alien race and stuff." And then we see Carol's memories. I think this is the point where we see Carol's memories even after the crash.
Yep.
And so they crash and they get out, and Mar-Vell kind of explains, you know, I'm an alien, and there's all this crazy stuff happening. And Carol's like, "Your blood is blue." And Carol comes to terms with this very quickly.
Yes,
for some reason. She's just like, okay, I can deal with this, you know. And then
to her defense, though, if you were getting shot out by an alien spaceship,
sure,
I think it would kind of click a little bit quicker than most.
No, she's really like a driven, like no nonsense character.
Yeah.
In some regard.
Yeah.
So it works. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But she's just like, okay. But
if you say so.
Then Yon-Rogg shows up. Wow, he's the villain. What a shock.
It was a shock. Like it wasn't a shock, but like because we all knew it. But like I thought that was a really cool, like him being the one to shoot Mar-Vell, and then slowly
so he just walks up and shoots her.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
And then Carol kind of sacrifices herself, or she thinks she's sacrificing herself. She shoots the light speed engine, which has the Tesseract in it. Very important.
But we didn't know that at this point.
You're right. But that means she kind of gets her powers from an Infinity Stone, like a lot of other characters already have, except for hers are like way stronger.
Yeah.
But she shoots the light speed engine, and Yon-Rogg is just kind of blasted back, but she takes the force of the engine, and she gets like these powers. And then she's knocked out, and then Yon-Rogg is like, wait a minute, you know, don't kill her.
She absorbed it, yeah.
We could use this, you know. So he ends up taking her back to Hala, and they, you know, give her false memories and stuff, and they kind of
start implanting
give her a
stuff.
new life.
Yeah,
because she is a really useful weapon.
Yeah. And so after that, then like she goes storming out. They have the whole conversation between her and Maria and Talos. So she decides that she's going to help Talos kind of finish what Mar-Vell started. Mm-hmm. Because we find out that during the whole thing that Mar-Vell was actually helping the Skrulls trying to find a planet or try to find somewhere safe. That's why she was building the light speed engine, was to kind of get them far away from the Kree. Mm-hmm. Which really, when you look at it, the Kree were kind of like Nazi Germany at this point. Like, if you don't agree with us, we'll kill you. Like, that type of thing.
Now, I will say that the Skrulls twist was not something that I originally liked very much.
Yeah.
In that they're kind of persecuted and they're, you know, kind of the good guys in a sense. It's still kind of a moral gray when it's a war like this.
Right.
And they still do bad things, but they're doing them kind of for the right reasons.
And they bring that up too, you know.
Right. But the Skrull twist, to me, the more I thought about it, it kind of sets up something really interesting, because this is 25 years before where we currently are.
Right.
And Skrulls are almost certainly going to come back in the present day where we are in Marvel. And they're almost certainly going to do some form of secret invasion. So it kind of sets up Carol sort of being burned for helping them, mm-hmm. or for being friends with them, especially since you have Talos' daughter, who is present, who a lot of people are speculating, including myself, could be like Skrull Queen Varanki.
Yep. 25
years in the future, which would be an awesome twist
to
set up that secret invasion. And there were a few little hints that she might have like a different take on the Kree-Skrull War than her father does, even though she's like barely in the movie.
Yeah.
There were a few things that they hinted at. So I would really, really like to see that, and I like sort of that idea of the Skrulls following Carol into the present, except for now they've decided to do bad things and take over the world.
And so like and it kind of makes sense too, of like they're sick and tired of being the ones picked on, so like they're gonna, you know, they're going to be the ones to do the picking, or they're gonna reverse the role. So I could see that for a secret invasion. Mm-hmm. I love the turn from the beginning the twist from the beginning. I just thought it was a great way to like kind of confuse everybody. Like, oh, I guess they're like. I think it would be like, oh, I guess they're not going to do the secret invasion. So like when the secret invasion actually happens, like people would be really shocked and really really stunned then. So I think that's one way to do it. And this was a good version of a twist instead of the Mandarin that people hated. I didn't mind the Mandarin that much, but that's just me. But like this twist, I think worked really well for what they were trying to go for. So we have her deciding to help the Skrulls get free of the Kree. So that's when Yon-Rogg lands on Earth, and they try to find where Mar-Vell's hidden ship was.
Yeah.
Which was apparently super easy to find out where her ship was.
And they convinced Maria to come with them as the pilot.
Yeah, which was really cool.
So now we've got kind of a crew forming. We've got Team Carol forming.
But I thought it was funny how easy it was to kind of find where she was. Well, like they're like, it's just orbit, like it's just simple science. And that's when he turned to look at his guys like, you're my science guy, and you couldn't figure that figure that out. So that part was funny. So then they go into this is where Yon-Rogg shows up, and
he finds Carol.
He finds Carol or Veers, which is really cool, by the way, how they get her like named Veers, because Carol Danvers was her dog tag, and it got ripped in half, and all that Yon-Rogg found was the VERS. So that's what I call it.
As Veers.
He's Kree.
He's an alien, I guess.
And their E's sound like
sense.
Yeah. So then like they go. Yon-Rogg realizes that it's not actually Carol, it's the science guy. He shoots the science guy, kills the science guy. That's when he tells Ronan.
This is so sad.
Yeah, I'm so sad. That's when he tells Ronan though to that there are Skrulls invaded C-53. So then they come to destroy C-53 to get rid of the Skrulls. At this point,
there's one Skrull left on the planet.
Yeah, that we know of.
Got to throw the whole planet away.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like when you get a spider in your room. It's like, well,
we gotta move.
Never coming in this room again. Yeah. Time for fire.
So this is where Maria and Carol and Nick and Goose are all in space. They find her ship. They walk in. They find out what the not the cube, what they call it, the core. They call it the core.
Oh.
We find out what the core is. It's the freaking Tesseract, which I popped for. I thought that was amazing. And then you have so this is where we'll stop for a second and to explain how she got the Tesseract, because apparently it's the hardest thing in the world to figure out how she got the Tesseract.
Yes,
it's not that hard. Think about it.
Yes,
we saw. Okay, so the first time we're introduced to the Tesseract is Captain America: The First Avenger.
And then the plane goes down.
The plane goes down with the Tesseract on it, right? He throws the Tesseract out, right? Because he doesn't have it on him, because then they would find him when they found the Tesseract. They didn't find him.
I think it fell out of the ship earlier.
Yeah, it fell out. So they find the Tesseract while they were looking for Captain.
I thought it burned a hole through the floor after Red Skull.
Yeah, it did do that. So while they're looking for Cap, they find the Tesseract. Howard Stark finds the Tesseract, who's Tony Stark's dad. They say
this at the beginning of the first Avengers movie.
Yes, so go back and watch that. They find the Tesseract at the first. They find the Tesseract. They come back, bring it back to S.H.I.E.L.D. Guess who starts Project Pegasus? Howard Stark. Guess what the whole purpose of Project Pegasus is? To turn the Tesseract into weapons.
And renewable energy.
Yeah, but mainly weapons.
Well, weapons after Thor comes to Earth and after Nick Fury institutes Phase 2.
Or is it before that? Or is it before Thor comes to Earth?
Keep going. You can keep going.
We'll talk about it.
Yes.
Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the Tesseract is now S.H.I.E.L.D. property. Project Pegasus. Who was a doctor in the 90s for Project Pegasus? Wendy Lawson. Who's Wendy Lawson? Mar-Vell. Guess what? She took the Tesseract and then she made the Lightspeed engine with the Tesseract. Ergo, that's how she got the Tesseract. It's not that hard. Just watch the movie and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the last time we saw the Tesseract was getting crushed by Thanos. So, yeah. No more Tesseract.
It's been a long journey with the Tesseract, and it was so, influential in all of the events of Phase 1.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So it kind of places this movie, again, I'll say it, this movie feels like it fits more among the other Phase 1 origin stories than it does right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually said that before on the podcast, but I know I told you that. Not to say that this movie should have come out back then, but just the way that it's made, it feels like it fits in more
Right.
back then.
Right.
Also, in terms of overall quality, it feels like it fits more back with Phase 1 origin stories, but that's another issue entirely.
Yeah.
It's good, just not great, but we already talked about that.
Right. So after they find out that the Tesseract was the core, they thought that that's why Talos was there. Talos goes into the main part of the ship and does the scroll call, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Anyways, like a whole bunch of scrolls come out. Apparently that's where his family and a whole bunch of other scrolls were. Marvel was keeping them there for safety, so that's where they meet all them. That's where Carol apologizes for for not realizing sooner or something or other. So then after that, we get to where Yon-Rogg and them show up on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They come through. This is where they kind of start to fight. Blah blah whatever. Captain Marvel's not able to do anything. She gets beat up. Then they take her to. They have apparently the Supreme Intelligence can go anywhere. They have the little portal thing with them. So she is seeing the Supreme Intelligence. That's when we hear "Come as You Are" extremely loud, very loud in your face. And this is where the Supreme Intelligence is all about like who you see is like your mentor or like who you looked up to the most. So she didn't know who Wendy Lawson was or Mar-Vell was at first. Mm-hmm. Now she knows who she is, so she still sees her. And this is where like the Supreme Intelligence is like, you basically is like you have these powers because we gave them to you, and then Captain Marvel's like, no, I absorbed them, blah blah blah. She was like, yeah, but you couldn't control them, blah 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 blah. They go back and forth, normal dialogue. She takes away the Kree, I call it the cigarette patch on the back of her neck, that gave her powers that they said in the first place. And so like she's powerless now. Then she goes through like this weird this is where the CGI got really heavy. So like she's on this like mercury wall. Like this is the only way I could really explain it. Mm-hmm. She goes through and she sees all of these different images. Like while the Supreme Intelligence is talking of like her getting knocked down. So like this is all the shots that we saw in the trailer of like her as a little kid on the go-kart in the wreck, her playing baseball, getting hit almost, falling down, one on the beach that I don't really remember. Oh, I know her on a bike. She runs into a tree and falls down. Her at boot camp, she's trying to jump from one rope to the other and falls down. And then the crash where she's down. And then like she lands and like that's when all the different other versions of Carol start to stand up, and that's when she stands up and she takes the patch off her neck and says the coolest line I think I've heard in a Marvel movie one of the coolest lines I've heard in a while. She takes it off. She says, "I've been fighting with one arm behind my back the entire time. What makes you what do you think happens when I'm set free?" And then she goes straight up binary, and it looks amazing. Like when she goes straight up binary, I think it looked absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. And honestly, this is not honestly because it's just a fact. This is the lowest budgeted Marvel movie since Ant-Man, and I think
they did really well with
since Captain America: The First Avenger before Ant-Man.
Wow.
So it's got one of the lowest budgets in the entire franchise, and I think that it's not Avengers level VFX,
right?
But it's not. It doesn't pull you out of the movie, or at least most of the time it doesn't.
Most of the time,
it's solid.
I think the one time it kind of pulled me out a little bit, but we'll get to it. But so that's when she goes straight up binary. She completely rips off all the stuff that the Supreme Intelligence had on her. She wiped out Yon-Rogg's crew. She grabs the Fonzie lunchbox that has the Tesseract in it.
The Fonz.
Yeah, which was amazing. She meets up with Carol. No, she meets up with Nick and Goose and Maria. And she has she tells Nick to grab the Tesseract. He says, "I'm not going to grab that thing." And going before that, the Talos was completely afraid of Goose because he said it was a flurkin and like blah blah blah. It's not just
it's not a cat.
It's not
what
a cat.
What is a cat?
But yeah. And then we skipped one of the other things of like they kept asking him like what he could turn into. So like Nick was like, so could you turn into a cat? And he was like, what's a cat? And then Maria says, can you turn into a filing cabinet? And he goes, why would I turn into a filing cabinet? And then Nick says, I'll give you $50 right now if you turn into a Venus flytrap. And so like he just kind of looks at him. But like going back to this, the Tesseract, like Nick won't grab the Tesseract, and so they kind of look at each other, and that's when Goose opens his mouth, and you realize that he's a Flerken because he eats the Tesseract with like the many different tongues and stuff in his mouth. And Nick drops him, and that's when you get like the really funny moment of him picking it back up, going, "I'm picking you up now. I'm trusting you not to eat me." And so he picks it up, and they go off, whatever. So
that trust may come in a little bit later.
Comes back to the line in Winter Soldier, doesn't it? So after that, we get Carol trying to run, so it's a little diversion. You get the scene. You see a bunch of Kree soldiers trying to stop Nick and Goose and Maria from running away. Nick just holds the cat up, and they get like all the Kree soldiers get eaten, which was funny. Mm-hmm. I think that got like the biggest reaction of my movie theater was that. One of them, and then
see, this is not a bad thing. Normies love things like that,
yep.
Where it's like super cute and innocent thing is actually really terrifyingly powerful. And it's the same thing with Jack and Incredibles 2.
And Groot.
And when Jack and Groot, too.
Yep.
And I don't really care for stuff like that. I didn't think it was bad in this movie. But I don't care for, like, oh, wow, surprise, this thing that you thought was this thing, it was a baby, is
right.
actually this, like, godlike being of just pure power.
Right.
And it's funny because he's a baby. And it's like, oh, this cat is actually a horrific alien creature.
Yeah.
But you thought it was a cat, and it's like I don't really care for stuff like that, but I mean it makes people laugh, so whatever.
Yeah, and like they're not like they didn't just make this up. Like this is true to the comic anyway, so it kind of fits anyway with it. And so this is where you kind of get you get different fight scenes in this one, of like Yon-Rogg and all the different Star Force members trying to fight Carol Danvers, and she's full binary, and it's really cool. Like. Her powers were super, like she was super powerful with the nicotine patch on the back of her neck.
Yeah.
But then like when she's binary, like she can't control it sometimes. So like when she's like shooting the binary blast out of her arm, she starts sliding all over the place because she can't control it. So it's like she's not only like just as powerful as she was, she's like 2 more levels of more powerful than the first time. So like that's really cool that they're making her even more powerful when she's binary.
I would compare it to the difference between like Thor in the first Avengers movie and Thor now with Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
Except for I don't think she's as strong as Thor with Stormbreaker, but
I don't think she is either, but I think she could get there at one point. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and also it's now like 25 years later.
Yeah.
So
so she may be more massive.
She's been out in space,
right.
Kind of guarding the galaxy, so to speak. From all these different things. So
right.
She's got to be way stronger.
You think she's more stronger than Star-Lord when he was Celestial?
That we'll have to see.
Do you think he goes Celestial again in Endgame?
Star-Lord?
Mm-hmm.
No, because he killed Ego, so he doesn't have celestial powers anymore.
Is Ego really dead, though?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
You know what nerd stands for, right?
No one ever really dies.
Exactly. So
yeah.
Red Skull's the perfect example.
Except for Uncle Ben.
Rip. So this is where you get all the different fight scenes though, which are really cool. And then you get to the point, basically, like this point in the movie is where Carol has her powers. Nobody can really touch her, and she just starts wrecking everybody. They end up back on Earth just in time for this is where when the ship starts to crack. She realizes that she can fly now with the binary blast, which is really, really cool. So she's flying through space. She's flying through the atmosphere. She almost hits Maria and them, and Nick freaks out because he didn't know what that was. Apparently she can fly now. So then this is where the accusers start to show up to bomb the Earth. This is where Ronan and all of them. So like she completely, because like nobody like. She was powerful, but nobody knew how strong she was. Well, she stopped a nuke, like a massive nuke, from hitting the Earth, and she threw it back at the other ones and blew all them up. and then she flies straight through a spaceship, which I thought was really cool. And so then you get this really, really cool moment of Ronan saying, "We'll be back," and he said, "We'll be back for the weapon," and one of the guys said, "The cube," and he goes, "The woman," and they fly off. I thought that was really, really cool.
I would have liked to see more of Ronan, though.
Yeah, he was like for like 2 scenes.
Yeah, for like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like he was in the trailer and stuff, and I think there are really like easy, simple ways that you could have worked him into a more prominent role in the plot. I think it would have been awesome to see Carol fight Ronan, especially when she's less powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point, maybe he's part of the Kree who go and attack the Skrull ship. With Yon-Rogg. Maybe he's part of that fight scene with the Just a Girl. I don't remember if she was binary during that, but still.
I think so.
That would have been really, really cool to see, because Ronan is a super important character, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, no, it's cool to see Ronan again. Hopefully we get more of his character, and we got like for 15 seconds of nothing.
Yeah.
So
he may be in the second one, if they do like a prequel thing with it.
Maybe.
Who knows? He may be like one of the main villains in that one as well. So after that, that's when she comes back, lands on Earth, and she's fighting Yon-Rogg. And this is one of the funniest things of like him.
This is a good point. Yeah.
He's got so like he has a gun, but then he has this other like anti-gravity thing on his left arm, right? Mm-hmm. And so like they're walking, like she's binary, she's completely binary, walking up to him. He's got the whole thing on his arm, getting ready to shoot or whatever. They come to a stop, and he puts it up and claps and is like, "I'm so proud of you." Like, but now this is the time for like you to. He said, "Put the light show away and fight me with your hands, blah blah whatever." And she just straight up blasts him, and he goes flying. Which is like, no, I'm not. If I have these powers, I don't need to fight. Like, I don't need to throw up a fist. I can just shoot you with it. And then she gets the cool moment of saying like, "I don't need to prove to you anything." Blah blah whatever. So she sends him back with a message of like she's coming to kick everybody's tail. Which is really cool.
Tell the Supreme Intelligence that I'm coming back to end the war.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was really, really cool. And then you get the scene basically like them back at Maria's house with Talos and his wife and his daughter. His daughter and Maria, which I'm sure we will see them two again fighting each other in the MCU.
Monica.
Yeah, but I'm sure you'll see those two fighting each other again in the MCU, playing Uno, so they're friends right now.
Until she hits her with the draw 4, and that's when things start getting bad.
We did miss one thing. I forgot. But Nick has the Flerken in front of his face and is talking to it really cute, and the Flerken scratches his eye, and he said, "Oh, don't worry, it'll heal." And you have all the Skrulls in the back going, "Oh no, it's not healing." So that's how Nick Fury lost his eye, was by getting scratched by a Flerken.
And honestly, if you have a problem with that, whatever.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
Both of us love it. Because, again, it's just kind of reframing his character.
Yep.
And this is something that I can see him doing. Yes, he was a total bad whatever in Winter Soldier. Can't say that on the podcast. We're recording in a church. He was awesome in Winter Soldier. And I don't think that retracts or takes away anything from his character.
Yep.
You know, he's carrying around this, like, horrific alien creature.
Yeah.
And it scratches him in the face because he trusted it.
And that's when you get the scene in Winter Soldier.
Funny.
Yeah.
It is funny.
Yeah, so I totally agree. I absolutely love it. And, like, he seems, like you said, he seems like this really, like, cool, complex character in Winter Soldier and like, all the movies that he's in. And then all of a sudden, like, you see, like, how he lost his eye, and it's like, that is really funny. Like, no wonder he won't tell anybody, like why he lost, how he lost his eye.
Right, and of course he's going to play it up as, last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye.
Yeah, and like even like at the end of the movie, he tells Coulson like, I lost my or it's rumored that he lost his eye because he wasn't given like information to the Kree intelligence or whatever, so they burned his eye out. And he said, "I will neither confirm nor deny these speculations," which was hilarious.
With the cat sitting right there.
Yeah. So like basically the end of the movie is great. I love the end of the movie. But like the end of the movie is she is going to help the Skrulls find a planet. Mm-hmm. And so she's going to fly back in the sky. That's where she's been all these years, is helping the Skrulls find a planet. She takes Nick's pager after he rats them out to the Shield. She takes his pager and she upgrades it, and that's the pager that we see at the end of Infinity War. Gives it to him and says "only for emergencies only," which we'll have a lot of questions about that, but we'll talk about it here in a few seconds. Hands it to Nick, and then that's where the pager comes from. And then she tells everybody goodbye. She flies off into space, blah, blah, whatever. And then that's when, at the end of the movie, you see Coulson and Fury. He's looking at eyeballs, which I love. But then he looks at the picture because he has the Protector Initiative. And it's like, whoever, like, when things go wrong, we need to find more people like Carol to help. And
what is it? An idea to assemble a group of remarkable individuals.
Yeah.
Dang it, I can't remember it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So he looks at the picture in the file of Carol, and on the plane it says Carol, quote, Avenger Danvers, which I don't know if nobody else liked it, but
and they play like the
it.
little Avengers
and
theme
I loved it
just a little bit, and then he just types it, and you don't see what it is.
Yeah,
and I like how they didn't like outright show, oh, it's the Avengers.
But you know what it is.
Yeah,
you know what it is. So
and everyone in my theater was like, oh,
yeah, I absolutely loved that part. I thought that was great. So yeah, that's the movie. I know we've gone a little long. We'll talk about the end credit scene here in a second. But yeah, we both kind of said, well, I really enjoyed the movie, mainly because of Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, and just what it's going to set up for the future for her. But I really, like, I had a good time with this movie. Yes, CGI is not perfect when she's flying, and there's one point where she's falling, and you can clearly tell it's going from animation to her face, and it's like, it didn't really click for me, it didn't really mesh for me that well. But like in a CGI heavy movie, it looked fine and it worked for me. The dialogue wasn't perfect. No superhero dialogue is ever going to be perfect except for like maybe The Dark Knight. And like even then, if you go back and watch it, it's still not perfect. Which there are a lot of questions in that movie too, if you really go back and watch it. But other than all those like minor things, I really enjoyed myself and I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah,
so
me too. I liked it.
All right, so the end credit scene though is really fascinating to me, both of them.
No, and you like the end credit scene begins and it pans up to Captain America, and
he's
like,
got
oh boy,
and he's got the beard.
He does have the beard, which raises a lot of questions. And he's looking at a screen, and I think it's missing persons cases,
and it's just
and
it's at 3 million. So it's almost, I think it's almost at half of the population of Earth. So it's like at 3.1 million.
The population of Earth is way more.
I mean, 3.1 billion. Let me look it up. Because I think like the Earth is like 7 billion people. And so I think half that would like be 3 point something.
I forgot what I was looking up. Hold on. Population of
the Earth.
7.53 billion.
Okay, so hang on.
Thanks, Google.
So 7.53. So we'll do the 7.53 divided by 2.
And back in
3.865,
it was half that. That's crazy.
Wow.
Fun fact.
So basically, though, but it was like at 3.1 billion. And like half the population would be 3.7 or 3.8. So basically, it's like almost to half the population, but it's still counting up and rounding up.
Right, but we see the pager first.
Yeah.
And then we see the pager turn off. After it's done beeping, and we see Captain America, and we see Black Widow, and
she's
see
blonde.
Rhodey, and Black Widow's blonde like she was in Infinity War, and we see Rhodey, and he's like, hey guys, whatever that thing was, it just stopped doing it. Then they all walk over, and Bruce Banner's there too. And he's like, whoever Fury was trying to send a message to,
it crapped out, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, well, let's get it out of there, and we can restart it, maybe see if we can send the message again. And then they all turn around.
Well, Black Widow's like, yep, just do it for me, please, because whoever it is, like, Fury knew what was going on, whatever. Just let me know, because we want to know whoever, whatever's on the end of that, like, on the other side of that pager. And then that's when she turns, and she's, like, face-to-face with Captain Marvel.
And she says, where is Fury?
And she looks pissed.
Yes.
And so when I saw that,
she's got longer hair and a different costume,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
yeah, and so when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, this is going to be great. Like, she is going to be,
It was super sick.
I already love her in this movie. Like, I just want to see it now. Which raises some questions of, so the most, there are two different things, but like the most recent in-game trailer, the shot of them, so the shot of Cap and Black Widow and I believe Banner and Rhodey, they were walking outside looking at something in the air. Mm-hmm. And there's a really noticeable space between Rhodey and Banner where a person could fit. I think that's where Captain Marvel is. And then there's a shot of all of them walking like this way. I think it's your banner on your Facebook page of them walking this way, and then it cuts back to like where nobody's at. There's a space there between two other people as well, where I think they probably digitally edited out Captain Marvel until this movie came out, and so I think the next trailer we get, we'll see Captain Marvel standing there.
Now, this is interesting because I think you're right. In all of the shots from the Endgame trailers, time has passed.
Yep.
From Infinity War and from the Captain Marvel post-credit scene, because in the post-credit scene, Cap has a beard, Black Widow's still got short blonde hair.
Yep.
And different things like that. Some of them are in the same clothes and stuff. And then in the Endgame trailer, Cap is shaved and he's got longer hair, and Black Widow has longer hair.
Mm-hmm.
Or I actually think they digitally edited that, but time has passed in all the Endgame stuff. So that means that Captain Marvel has been with them for a significant amount of time, and I'm thinking about a year. It might not be a full year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just have to see, how long it takes Tony Stark to get back to Earth after being stranded.
Right, which makes me think that the thing that they're looking at outside is probably Tony coming back.
I think so, yeah.
And I think this kind of answers a question, but not really. I think there definitely will be time travel in this movie. And I think this just kind of furthered that with, like you said, the end credit scene of Cap still having a beard, like all these small minor details. Then you look at the trailer, which, by the way, you can't take a Marvel trailer for null and void because they love to edit stuff out, which I absolutely love that they do that. But I think that kind of just confirms that there will be some element of time travel in this movie, for sure, which I cannot wait for. Mm-hmm. Like I'd speculate that this would happen, and I'm totally happy that it did. But watching Captain Marvel made me just even more excited for Endgame, and I didn't think I could get there. But like, I'm even more excited to go watch Endgame now because of watching Captain Marvel and just seeing all this different stuff come together. And then the second end credit scene is just a funny little scene of Goose jumping back on Nick Fury's desk and taking forever, but throwing up the Tesseract. Which I thought was funny. But there are a lot of other like different, and maybe just nerds looking into it too much. But there's a lot of different like implications of like, so that's how he gets the Tesseract back. And that's where Project Pegasus starts, and then that's where it's at Avengers, like the first Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. So like there's a lot of different stuff just from that small little end credit scene. But overall, like both end credit scenes were amazing, much better than the Ant-Man and the Wasp with the drummer, which I know you love that one because of the.
I do love that one because of the emergency alert system.
Yeah, but it was just still really weird and really random. But them fading to dust at the first one I thought was great. This movie was great. Well, this movie was really good. We both enjoyed it. We both liked it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, please. Please go watch it. If you haven't watched it and you're still here, shame on you. But still go watch it for yourself.
And it's exciting because it's really taking off.
Yes.
And at the box office, it's basically a lock at this point that it's going to make over $1 billion.
Right. And if it doesn't, I'll go watch it so many times that it does hit $1 billion.
But that's really exciting, not only because Marvel really has a grasp on the industry.
Yeah.
And that just shows how many people are excited for Endgame, that they want to come and see this origin story of a character that they probably don't know existed.
Right.
And it's also really exciting because back in the day, when the MCU was just getting started, there was this guy who was kind of the head of, I think it was not Marvel Studios, because Kevin Feige was the head of that, but he was very high up in the Marvel food chain, and he was like, we probably shouldn't focus on a Black Panther project or a Captain Marvel project because movies about minorities, movies about, female superheroes, they're not going to take off. And they're not going to be successful. That's not what people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So now with Black Panther and Captain Marvel, it's just literally the opposite. And it's being proven. It's not just like to, own him or whatever, but it's like, it's really exciting to see that it's just exactly the opposite, to where Black Panther was a huge success,
right?
Especially domestically, and Captain Marvel is just taking off right now.
Yeah.
Already making a ton of money.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to see that representation is being embraced.
This is
so easily.
We are in a new era of superhero movies, where more characters like Black Panther and like Captain Marvel can really shine. So, I wouldn't be surprised in the next few phases if we don't get a Miss Marvel movie.
Yeah. Or a Champions movie. Which I would actually far prefer to see, like an ensemble Champions movie.
Yeah. But you'll see more minority and female lead characters, which, by the way, I'm all on board for.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're still supposed to get the Black Widow movie, which I'm surprised it's taken them this long to do a Black Widow movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see Kate Bishop, I'm sure, in the MCU at some point. You'll see all of these different characters show up, and I think it's a really, really great thing, and I'm very excited to see where it's going. The MCU is... It's hard to believe, but we've talked about this, we both feel like we're kind of at the peak of the MCU right now. Of nothing's really going to beat Infinity War and probably Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's going to be a massive drop off after Endgame. I think it's still just going to be a steady pace.
Because they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They know what their audience wants. They can get a casual fan invested in these intergalactical movies. Where before nobody really cared. Now people would love it. And I think this is the perfect time to strike with a Fantastic Four movie. Because the Fantastic Four would fit perfectly in the MCU right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why, because I think I saw that the Fox Disney deal is supposed to go through next week.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting. Which I'm sure we'll talk about next week for sure. But yeah, that's the MCU is I don't want to say they're heading in the right direction, because they've been going in the right direction since Iron Man. And there's nothing else that you can really say or do about it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any other final thoughts on Captain Marvel? We've gone a really long time.
We've gone 2 hours.
But it's such a good... If we go 2 hours...
Exciting episode.
If we go 2 hours on Captain Marvel, we're going to have to do a 2-day event for Endgame.
Right. It's going to be as long as the movie will. 3 hours.
Man, make it 4. I want the movie to go 4.5 hours.
Yeah. I'm not getting anything done the next day after that.
Oh, no, I'm not either. But, I will... Listen, I'm not going to, I will buy a catheter and sit through that movie. I'm not going to the bathroom or nothing. So make it as long as you want.
Bring an empty water bottle.
Yeah, just make it as long as you want. 6 hours, 7 hours, I'm sitting through the whole thing and loving every second of it. So, this has been a long episode. But do you have any other thoughts on Captain Marvel or anything?
I don't. It was good. It was solid. It is flawed, but I'm really, really glad that people are embracing it. Is mostly my thoughts on it. I think it sets up interesting things. And Nick Fury is great, and I can't wait to see her in Endgame. And that's basically my thoughts on the movie.
Yep, it's Brie Larson, Samuel Jackson killed it. I'm very excited to see what takes place here on out. I'm very excited to see her in the future for sure. So I am very excited to see what's going to happen next week. Next week, we will probably talk about the Fox Disney merger some more. We'll talk about I think something else is supposed to come out next week. Not movie-wise, but I think we might get a trailer next week. Maybe.
Yeah. Avengers trailer
soon.
Is coming up soon.
Very soon. We'll talk about Lord of the Rings, since that's what I'm watching this week.
Let's do that.
And before Endgame comes out, we are going to do our MCU recap, where we rewatch themes. At least I know I think you're probably going to as well, but rewatching the MCU from start to finish, and then after that, we'll give our MCU best to worst after Endgame. So look out. There's a lot of good stuff coming out in the next month or so. So check that out. Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you like, comment, and share. If you're listening to this on our iTunes, Google Play, or SoundCloud, make sure that you leave a review. Make sure that you share it. Thanks, guys, so much again for listening. We're probably going to stay and hang out with the chat for a little bit, talk a little bit. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys joining us on the podcast. And we'll catch you guys next week. And there we go. All right, so who's still in the chat? Gump?
Gump.
Is it just Gump? Because if it's just Gump, then I'm leaving. A loud, not you. We don't need you as a loud personality, though.
Are we still live?
Yeah. Yeah, we're still live.
Oh.
We are still live. We are still live. So, okay, so I'll come back up and see what you guys are talking about, because I couldn't really talk about I'm gonna take the spoiler thing out because we're not talking about spoilers anymore. Let's see here. So apparently Gump doesn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, that was pretty
Loser.
crazy. So he ranked MCU best to
I'm
worst.
gonna go look at his list and rate it.
No, I want to write it down because I love collecting people's MCU best.
Holy
to
crap!
worst
He had a
list.
20th.
He had it the second worst out of everything, which is amazing to me. I am very surprised by that, and I've never seen anything like it. So, congratulations! You really
Boo.
caught me off guard there.
Wow! And you give me crap for not watching Harry Potter, but yet you put Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at 20.
It's
And
really
you put
good.
you put Black Panther under Incredible Hulk.
It's really good. I'm not bandwagon. You know, it's just a great movie, and in a lot of regards, it's better than the first Guardians. I don't think it's better overall.
I have it higher up than the first Guardians movie. I love it.
The colors in that movie, the way that they handle the characters, the way that they give it more emotion. The villain is fantastic.
Yes.
Ego is fantastic. I do agree that it suffers in that the humor just sometimes goes like above and beyond, like a little bit over the top. And I do agree that it's kind of an overstuffed sequel, and that's why I don't like it as much.
You're right. There is no comparison between Guardians 1 and 2 because Guardians 2 is just as good, if not better.
Yeah, no, they're very different movies too.
They are. But like, what I like about Guardians 2 is like Star-Lord really shines in that.
Yes.
He also like you said, Ego is amazing in the movie. It's beautifully shot. I love the backstory with his dad and his mom. It really makes him be a massive villain for that. Colors don't make a movie's villain was not mad.
You're right. Colors don't make a movie. There are a whole lot
But
of
they
different
help.
aspects
But
that
they
make
help.
a movie.
Right.
I
can't believe he said
overall,
that.
it's absolutely one of the most visually interesting movies Marvel has ever done.
I think the most would be Doctor Strange.
Maybe, but kind of more in a tone and color sense.
Yeah.
No, and I think it suffers in different aspects. But it has one of the more emotionally present stories out of the entire franchise.
And Kurt Russell is amazing.
One of the best villains.
Yep.
And all of the characters are giving something interesting to do.
And I love
except for Drax.
This is poor Drax.
Yeah, Drax kind of gets the short end of the stick.
But I really think Nebula and Gamora in this movie I think is I love between those two, the interactions between those two. That's really great. But yeah, Guardians 2 is one of my favorite. It's I think I like Guardians 2 more than I like Guardians 1.
Which I can see.
Yeah.
I can definitely see.
And don't get me wrong, both Guardians are in my top 10.
Both Guardians are really Marvel's dark horses, and I think that people kind of underappreciate them, even though they're universally loved, because they're just so special. And Marvel movies are accused of being repetitive, and they're accused of being, too similar to each other, which I can see. I don't have an issue with them following kind of the same strategy with different movies.
Yep.
I think that they switch it up enough to keep it interesting, a lot of the times at least. But Guardians is just so special, and it's so much its own thing, and even Guardians 2 being so different from the first one.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't begrudge anyone their opinion. If you think that Guardians Volume 2 is the worst film ever made, then whatever.
You're an idiot.
But if we can, if we debate on like the, if it's a debate about what am I trying to say? If it's a debate about objective quality, then there's a debate there. If it's a debate about what your opinion is, then there's not really a debate. It's
right. It's just opinion.
And that's great.
So he said. Well, first off, he said, don't compare me hating Guardians 2 and you not watching one of the best fantasy films of all time.
That's true.
That's not true. Don't take his side. You can't. You're supposed to be on my team on this. He said, color, yes, it was pretty, but story was weak, and I felt like the characters were the same from beginning to end, other than Peter, but didn't really change. I feel like Gamora changed a lot. Like Gamora and Nebula both changed a lot.
Yeah, Gamora and Nebula's relationship.
You meet Mantis. Yeah, you meet Mantis, which is a new character.
You do, and Rocket has an arc about how he's just being a total douchebag to everyone. And he's really got to reconcile with his team. He has an arc with Yondu, how they're basically the same character. Yeah. Yondu even changes in this movie. Yeah. From being an unlikable outcast, and then he comes back into Peter's life, and he kind of has a sacrificial moment there. Mm-hmm. I gotta totally disagree with that. On that, none of the other characters changed. Also,
Peter did have the most change, but that's just because he's the main character. Like,
right. And you gotta think it's an ensemble movie with so many different characters. It's asking a lot of that kind of movie to even have change for like maybe 3 of the characters. Yeah. And to have development for even 3 of the characters, but I think that they kept all of them. They gave all of them something to do. Yeah. I didn't like Rocket's arc as much as I did in the first Guardians. Drax doesn't really change at all like he did in the first one. Groot, I guess he changes physically, sort of, but Gamora is giving something to do. Yeah. Nebula is, of course, Peter is, Yondu is, and it's juggling a lot of characters for being kind of an offshoot franchise. I mean, like, Iron Man 2 didn't have that many characters, Thor the Dark World, Winter Soldier, Guardians 2 had a whole lot on its plate, and I think for the most part it totally lived up.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, whatever.
He said, surprised I'm getting crap on this and not Black Panther. No, you deserve to get crap on how low you have Black Panther, too.
No, and I mean,
if that's your opinion, that's fine. But movie-wise, Black Panther was much better than The Incredible Hulk.
I agree with that. Also, I mean, it's the fact that Guardians 2 is rated like second at the bottom, and for me, it's like easily,
it's in my top 5,
top of the middle tier.
See, for me, I've
got it top 10, but like
I'm weird
for Black Panther. That's where you have it is only like 5 spots off of where I have it, pretty much. So it's not as drastic of a difference, and also I'm not going to sit around and defend Black Panther because it is a very flawed movie.
It is, but
I will defend it to some people, but I mean, I see where you're coming from.
See, because I have it 7th, but I really enjoyed that movie. Let's see here. He said, I'll rewatch it, I guess, and I'll let you know how I feel afterwards.
I think it's on Netflix still.
Yeah, it is on Netflix still. He said, still, story was kind of weak, just too many action sequences and not enough interesting back and forth dialogue that grabbed me like the first one.
I suppose so. I think part of the problem with Guardians Volume 2 is that the first one was such a flash in the pan. Yeah. And the first one was such a great, system shock to what Marvel was doing at the time. I think it's the law of diminishing returns is what I think it's called. That when you do something the second time, it's not going to be as effective. Yeah. And James Gunn really went all out on the sequel, but I think that his vision still absolutely shines. Yeah. For every one of the characters and for the world that they inhabit. Yeah, yeah. It totally shines.
Which one do you think has a better soundtrack?
2.
2 has a great soundtrack.
In the way that they use it, honestly, 2.
Yeah. the soundtrack for 2 is absolutely amazing.
The way that they use "The Chain" by Fleetwood Mac, that song
Yes.
is just glorious.
Yes.
"Bring It On Home to Me"
Yeah.
by Sam Cooke, when they have that for the dance scene. I think the first soundtrack is always going to be the more iconic one. I think in the way that they use the soundtrack in Volume 2.
Yeah.
Now, I will say they throw 2 of the songs in the end credits, and they don't use 2 of those really during the movie. "Father and Son" by Cat Stevens is used during the movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. All right, so Gump says, to be honest, I just had more fun with Hulk than Black Panther. Okay, that's your opinion. It's fine.
Yeah, and Black Panther isn't like a thrill ride.
Right, it's not. But here's the thing: Black Panther to me was not about Black Panther. And I know, yes, that's the title of the movie, Black Panther, blah blah, whatever. It's a Wakanda story.
Yes.
Black Panther is Wakanda. I think that's one of the things that they were trying to get across. So, to me, the story was the story in Black Panther was great, not great, but the story in Black Panther to me was more compelling than the Hulk. And to me, I really did not have a good time watching the Hulk at all.
Yeah, no, and I understand. I mean, everybody watches movies differently. Everybody has a different perspective on movies, and if we all had the same opinion on everything, then
it would be boring.
It would be super boring. So that's part of the reason I love taking people's MCU best to worsts.
Yep.
And I find them so interesting. Is what do you look for in MCU movies? Because there's something that I understand pretty well.
Because I think mine and your list are pretty different.
They are. Yeah, they really
for the
are.
most part. I think our top 5 is pretty similar, but other than that, I think everything else is really different.
Kind of, yeah. Civil War has dropped a little bit for me, but it's still really good.
It's not. It's. I think Civil War is always going to be. I don't want to say always, but I think it's going to something great all the way around is going to have to top it for me.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. He said,
and the Incredible Hulk. I mean, I think it's really boring, and I think the main character is super boring. But if you're just watching it to watch the Hulk wreck stuff, then
yeah,
I mean, the ending fight scene definitely delivers on that. For sure.
I think the ending fight scene is the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah, when he rips the car in half and uses his boxing gloves.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but Hulk was very, very flawed and weaker story than Black Panther. That's very true. Then he said that 1 easily has a better soundtrack than 2.
Okay. Insert GIF of Jeff Bridges saying, "Well, that's just your opinion, man."
I really enjoyed the soundtrack for 2.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what this Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Guardians 1, I absolutely loved.
When they opened up Guardians Volume 1 with "I'm Not in Love,"
yeah,
and that opening, it's just brilliant.
Yeah,
and I love it. When he's what do they play? Dang it! When they play Moon Age Daydream, when they're going to nowhere. I forget which song it is when he's flying. The Pina Colada song when he's flying.
Yeah.
Drax is like, "Hark."
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get me wrong, I love Guardians 1 and the soundtrack and everything. Just to me, Guardians 2, I had a lot more fun. I really, really, really enjoyed everything about Guardians. Not everything, but Guardians 2 was just a lot of fun. Kurt Russell is one of my favorite actors of all time, so seeing him was great. The entire Guardians cast for me really did a great job, except for Drax, because that's just Drax. That's who he is. And it really Nebula. I actually cared about Nebula for the first time, because in the first one I didn't really care about Nebula all that much. But the second, in Guardians 2, I really cared about her a lot. I liked her a lot. So to me, Guardians 2 is the better movie. But that's just me. So, did you just drop your current best to worst?
I'm trying to figure out the formatting and how I'm going to put it out.
Oh.
It would take a long time to do it one by one.
What video was he talking about? Us watching.
I don't know. He said he was going to put the link, but
you never put the link. Way to go, Gum. Way to do your job.
I'm trying to figure out how to format this. Maybe I'll split it half and half.
The gum. Drop it to me in Discord. It doesn't pop up in the chat. Drop it to me in Discord. So I think we're going to start doing more stuff like this of like after we're done recording the podcast, we may just stay live for a little bit and just discuss and talk and do things.
With all the loyal fans. No, I'm just kidding.
All the smart fans. Gumpy don't count.
I think he's the only person here.
He is. No, I love you, Gump. Don't worry. I love you. We finally got to do our podcast together. We've been trying for like a month and it never worked out. There you go. He dropped it to me. I'm gonna have to hang on.
Please just work. It worked. Okay, I'm gonna put my best to worst in here, but the formatting is a complete mess.
That's fine.
Excuse the.
Discord is taking forever to open up. Oh, it's doing updates, that's why. That's your number one?
What?
Guardians number one is your number one? Oh, Guardians 2 is your number one?
No, Guardians is my number one.
Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, I've seen this.
Oh no. Oh god. You want a reaction? He looks like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Looks like DC did it. Oh, that thing is ugly. Oh my god. Wow.
That was 2 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back.
Oh my gosh. You said it was a minute. You lied. What are you so displeased about?
No, I think he was talking about my face.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, that was an experience.
Keep talking. Give me a second. I'm going to try something.
Okay. No, and I mean, I'm really impressed that people have the time and the dedication.
For real.
Do something like that. Because Big Chungus is... Oh. I lost myself.
Mm-hmm. Just give it a second.
Oh, okay.
Just keep talking though. You're good.
No, Big Chungus is already a... yeah, I can hear myself. Already a dead meme. And I don't know when this video was uploaded, but...
Recently.
I'm sure it takes time, but in the meme market, it's very difficult to gauge if something is worth your time, because if it's already dead or not. And
Do we need to do a meme episode?
I also think that for the next episode, we should zoom in a little bit more on ourselves.
Well, I moved the camera a little bit, but I'll fix it. I'll have to move it back, and yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah, no, it was funny. I mean, it was funny and it was well done. But Big Chungus is dead.
It's
meme stream.
Meme stream. Meme stream. We need to do a meme stream.
I don't know what memes we would have in a meme stream.
A lot of memes in a meme stream.
Maybe we'll just get Gump to send them all to us, and then we'll just
Gump,
stare at them.
Send us memes.
Is this where I've gotten to in my life?
We need to change our podcast. So when we do our rebranding, we're just going to be a meme podcast.
The Meme Team. That was the name of the chat that I had with my groomsmen before the wedding. In Messenger was the Meme Team.
The Meme Team.
And it's still active. Like, we still send each other stuff. It's pretty cool.
How many? Not a lot.
I mean, it depends on how much we got to pay for them.
I'm not paying anything for a meme.
Well, then I guess you're the guy that I'm talking to.
Yeah, that's probably true. Oh, man. See, we have been live for 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I think we're going to wrap it up.
I think this is a record.
I think it is a record. Oh, don't worry. Endgame will be a lot longer. So what we may do for...
And I'll have seen Endgame 2 times, so I'll have seen Endgame 2 times by that Tuesday, so I'll probably have more to talk about.
Oh, see, I'm like, this is going to be fun.
But also because Endgame is going to be jam-packed with stuff, and like with Captain Marvel, it had a lot of stuff in it.
But not as much as Endgame's going to have.
Right.
So like what my plan is for Endgame is the Thursday it comes out, obviously I'm going to be there premiere night. Friday night, the night after, I'm taking my sister to go see it. Saturday, I'm taking my mom to go see it. Sunday, I'm taking a bunch of my other friends to go see it. And then Monday, I'm seeing it with you when we do that party thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tuesday, I may go see it a sixth time just to go watch it. I'll probably see it a crap ton of times. But yeah.
Wow. That's I'll probably have seen it 3 times by the time we...
Because so the first viewing, I go to watch it. Just to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other views, I go watch it like, all right, what the heck is going on?
That's how I do, yeah.
So, who needs sleep when you can be avenging? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Avengers don't need sleep. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for the live stream, though. I think we're getting ready to call it quits.
I got a sandwich here that I'd really like to eat, and I don't want to eat it in front of people. So that's kind of my incentive to wrap it up.
Jason's hungry, so he's telling us to leave.
I am.
So yeah, we'll do this again next week.
I am hungry. I'm not telling you to leave. Clarify.
So yeah, we'll do this again next week. We'll jump on. We'll stay on for a little bit. We may
on the same side of the desk.
Yes,
because we're on the same side.
Yep.
In most things.
Yep. We're working together. So next week, what we may end up doing is we may live stream for a little bit before, and then jump on the actual podcast, and then hang out again afterwards. We may just make it a whole big thing. We'll figure it out. But yeah, make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Nerd Crew Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at I'm Andy York. Jason does.
Gump is asking you to zoom in on Thanos. There we go. There we go. I know this is what you wanted.
Juice. Gump wants
no, there is not American cheese. Because American cheese is disgusting. American cheese is one of the worst foods in all of food.
No. You're wrong. You are very wrong.
There we go. American cheese is amazing. So awful.
What's your favorite cheese then?
Pepper jack.
That's fine. I'm a mozzarella guy. Mozzarella.
Well, then I know exactly what kind of person you are.
Italian.
You got to read people by the kind of cheese that they like.
So you're
not the only one cursed with knowledge.
Gump said fake news. Hey, there will be no political stuff in our no.
American cheese is just one of the worst things ever invented, and this is what we're
That's-
going to talk about next week.
That is not true.
We're going to talk about what kind of foods are served in hell. And American cheese is going to be in the 9th level.
I didn't know like all I had to take to make
Chai
you mad
tea.
was talking about American cheese.
Chai tea.
Chai tea.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. So your version of hell is eating American cheese with chai tea and
I could go on. I'm trying to think
watching
of other foods
watching
that I hate.
Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
On a loop
Oh,
continuously.
yeah. Honestly, I'm starting to sweat like right here.
You can tell a man by the cheese he eats. I think that's going to be a line in Endgame. Cap's going to just sit there in that little therapy group. You can tell a man by the cheese he eats.
That's going to be one of those iconic Thanos
That's
quotes.
another one of the branding gumps that they can use is the who's the American cheese who does what's the main company that does it?
Kraft.
Kraft. Yeah, Kraft's going to be in it, and it's just going to be him eating American cheese, saying, "You can tell the cheese. You can tell a man by the cheese he eats."
That's what he's doing on his farm. Is he's just coming up with random Thanos quotes that all these people are going to turn into memes. Like it was, and it was beautiful. Fear that turns the legs to jelly.
Yeah,
You know,
I ignored my destiny once.
You should have gone for the head. Yeah, no, he's just sitting there trying to come up with iconic Thanos quotes, but all that he has is a package of American cheese, and he's like, you can tell the man by the cheese that he eats.
Gump says one more video.
Oh.
I'm scared.
Oh, no, I know this. I know what this is.
You can collect all 12 Pokemon trading card game cards inside participating boxes of Big G cereals, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, part of the complete breakfast.
Is that the commercial you were talking about on Nico's stream, like Wednesday? I sent you my hell. Here, I feel bad. Here, hang on.
Yeah, I know. We've been zoomed in on Thanos.
No, we got to get it on all the. There we go.
Right.
Yep.
Thanos and his super friends.
He says, I watch this 3 times a day for the past 4 months. Why?
Well,
Why have you watched it every day for the past 4 months? That's your fault. That's at some point that becomes your fault. I feel like we need to do a therapy podcast as well.
counseling. Counseling.
Welcome back to the Nerd Crew Counseling Podcast.
We will counsel your internet usage. We'll counsel your marriage. We
Yeah.
will counsel anything that needs counsel.
Yeah, if you have rage issues, Gump, we will cancel. Cancel. We will cancel the count. I can't say the word.
We
now.
will cancel you.
Yes, we'll delete you.
Just like on Twitter.
We will snap
Canceled. R. Kelly canceled. Michael Jackson canceled.
Did you hear about Drake?
Um,
He pulled that. So he has like a song that he does with Michael Jackson, and he pulled it because of like the documentary thing that came out.
God.
Yeah. So
I'm a big
haven't seen the
I'm a
documentary
big
yet.
advocate of separating the art from the artist.
Yeah.
If you dig through the history of so many different iconic popular
they're
artists,
screwed up.
yes, they absolutely are. And people are willing to separate the art from the artist with some people, and then with other people, it just doesn't matter.
They burn him at the stake.
And I don't agree with people who are just like, Michael did nothing wrong. It's like we don't know that.
Right. Right.
And a lot of people are just saying that because they like his music.
Which I.
But no, I mean, separate the art from the artist. I love, most of the people in America love Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And see, like, I think that that's the whole thing with James Gunn too. Like,
Yes.
plus that happened like 20 years, like 10 years ago, man. Like, leave it alone.
I don't
People
think it's the
change.
exact same issue, but I do think it was
There's
a mistake.
there's a part of it, like, and like it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
It is, yeah.
Um,
I think that it is different when somebody is actively employed by you, and also you're Disney.
Yeah.
But Michael Jackson is dead, and
Yeah.
he made music, and he
made
obviously
great music.
made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. But who doesn't? Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't burn a guy at the stake just because he makes a mistake.
Yeah.
That's a quote.
No, and I do think that if he was alive, it would be a very different situation.
Right.
If he was alive and actively making music, it would be a very different situation. But he is dead now, and he was an artist, and his art is what's left. And as a person, he seems pretty screwed up if all the things that they are saying are true.
Well, like,
which I don't know because I'm just a guy. But
at the age of like 5, I think it was, like his dad was having him sing in strip clubs. So like obviously you're going to be screwed up.
mm-hmm.
So like it's a whole big thing. I love Michael Jackson's music. I know he probably screwed up a lot. A lot of people do. So just build a bridge and get over it. At some point, he's, don't tarnish a guy that can't even defend himself at this point. So people always love to look at the faults in things instead of, we live in a very negative culture, negative society. So it's time to be positive. And I think we've seen a negative side with Captain Marvel. Like, people hate on Captain Marvel just because Brie Larson's in it, and like Brie Larson, everybody says Brie Larson hates white men. No, she doesn't. Like, she's even come out and said, I don't hate white men. There needs to be more diversity at these like interviews and things. And I totally agree. Like, there needs to be diversity.
More seats at the table is literally what she said. She's not trying to take people's seats away.
Well, she even came back and said, like, people say I hate white men. I don't hate white men. Like,
right. Yeah. No, it's just another instance.
Yeah, and Kevin Hart was one of them too. I saw that. That was dumb. Anyway, we could go on a rant about this forever. So yeah, it's we live in a very politically correct but like screwed up world at the same time. So
yeah.
Oh well. That's why we go to these movies, just to forget about everything. So
right.
So that's why we enjoy it. Unless it's DC, then they piss us off even more.
Right. And then we remember how screwed up the world really is, that they can get away with this garbage. But we won't even get into that.
All right. So I think this is finally going to do it for our live stream. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Gump, for hanging out with us the whole time. We really appreciate it. But yeah, check us out next week. We'll be talking again about probably the Lord of the Rings and some other news stuff that will probably come out with the Disney Fox deal, things like that. So look out for that. But for Jason, I'm Andy York. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll catch you guys next week.